Ben Cameron and Corbin Middlemash from ABC Sport here.
Alongside Paul Roos, Brett Delidio and Poppy Penny, we bring you all the latest AFL news from both on and off the field on the ABC AFL Daily podcast.
You can hear it all on the ABC Listen app.
Up to steady and pull the trigger!
Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Room to steady and finish!
It's close to the goal line and Marty good there! Another one!
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
Rampy from 55 can ride it all the way home.
Huge stretch off and kicks the goal. The skipper off a step finishes.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Right foot strike. He's got it.
Oh, the home fans like that.
Takes a bounce, unguarded, goal square. He's got it.
Reed's going to go for goal. Oh my goodness, that truly is remarkable.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
On radio, on digital and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Another week, another 350th game milestone down here at Geelong. This week it is the coach. Chris Scott ticks over the mark. He is the two-time premiership coach down here at Geelong. He becomes the 6th coach overall to lead 350 games at the One Club and the 19th to reach the milestone as his team runs out for a clash with Richmond on a Saturday afternoon in the Pivot City. Great to have you with us on ABC Sports. A beautiful day down here in Geelong as well. Not too many clouds in the sky and unseasonably warm for this time of year here in Victoria. The 5th place Cats, the 17th place Tigers. Of course, Geelong coming off their bye. The Tigers coming off a few hefty losses and an extra costly one last week with the 5-week suspension of Tom Lynch, meaning they are a very, very young team, a very, very young forward line particularly this afternoon. There is a late change for Geelong. Bailey Smith is out with illness that was reasonably well foretold in the lead up to this game. So Jack Bowes comes in and a debutant for the Cats with George Stevens, the South Warrnambool product in his second year on the Cats list, having been taken with pick 58 out of the Greater Western Victoria Rebels in 2024. He plays his first game today, the big-bodied midfielder. Tyson Stengel, the former Tiger, is not out there, having been withdrawn from the team that was selected on Thursday with personal reasons. Joel Peterson is my name. Great to have you with us, whether you're listening on the ABC Listen app. So much sport coming your way across the course of this weekend in that particular variety. Andrew Mays is here to call the footy with me. G'day, Maysy.
Hello, Joel. Couple of strange things today. Saw the temperature gauge get to 20. A 2. Starting with a 2 on the way down the highway. So that was good fun on the way in. And then when we got here, it wasn't that full, but I must say the fans have come in late and we'll be heading towards capacity, I think, on a lovely Saturday afternoon, which is good fun and a good test for the young Cubs. It's they're up against it today, but looking forward to seeing what they can produce, especially that young forward line as well.
As Adam Uze said, they've got nothing to lose coming down here today. They'll come down with a plan to win. The corresponding game last year was in round 13, so a little bit earlier in the season. Richmond led at three-quarter time in that game. They pushed Geelong all the way before the Cats kicked 5 in the last quarter to see off the challenge. Alexia Peche's down on the boundary. We'll catch up with her very shortly to get conditions and a bit of news from each of the teams. We're very well stocked in the expert department as well. It's almost like we've assembled our own little leadership group up here in the box this afternoon. Former All-Australian captain in Bob Murphy's headed down the highway. Good to see you, Bob.
Afternoon, gentlemen. Nice to be in your company for what is it's a fascinating afternoon. Two clubs at the bookends of development, I suppose. The Cats, who see themselves rightly as contenders with that experience list, and the young Cubs, as you mentioned earlier. So looking forward to having a look over the contest there, and nice to be with you two, but also to be in the midst of Geelong royalty, the gentleman who you're about to introduce. I've got to say, like, the weather is beautiful, the sun is shining, it's warmer than what we would normally expect, but for a past player, you get out of the car in the car park, walk into this place. A cold shiver ran down my spine. a lot of trauma from a few years back. So just trying to push past that, but can't wait for the footy to start.
A man who doesn't have too many cold shivers when he walks into this place, a revered figure, Premiership captain Cameron Ling. And Lingy, you tell us, it's always like this down here in the Pivot City.
Yeah, I want you all to get the surprise out of your voice. There's always a 2 in front of the temperature here in Geelong. It's superb. No, it is great to be here, and good afternoon to you all, and to all of our listeners out there. This game could either be absolutely brutal and a complete flogging, and Geelong are on and they're sharp and they want to make amends for the loss to the Brisbane Lions, or they're a touch sluggish coming off the bye, and Richmond, that freedom of youth and exuberance, and they play and they just take the game on, sprinkled with a couple of veterans out there, and we might get a game on our hands. That's the one I'm hoping for, at least for a certain part of the game. Then the real fun can begin later on, but intriguing to see which one we get.
Yeah, fingers crossed we do get a contest. Before we get too far into the X's and O's, it is Chris Scott's 350th game, so of course he's been such a part of the furniture down here at Geelong, and they've gone through a couple of different life cycles with him at the helm. How have you seen him evolve from that very first season when he led the team to a premiership to now in season 15 where he's still got this team at the very pointy end?
Oh, just a superb coach, an outstanding person and a superb coach. And congratulations to him, 350 games. It's a great milestone. He'd hate all the fuss being about him. He absolutely hates that. But he deserves it because he's been a terrific coach. I've spoken to him so many times over the journey, and there's so many different points in his life as a coach. You know, he talks about that first season, that wonderful first year where we won the premiership, but he was only a couple of years older than some of the players he was coaching. He was so intimidated when he first walked in by some of the players he was about to coach, which was remarkable to us because when we were a young team trying to build our way, the Brisbane Lions were gods to us. They were the great teams. They were the ones who played footy the way we wanted to play it. So we thought he'd come in and be confident as hell. But no, he had all the insecurities that a new coach would have, a leader of men, but who's trying to bring a group together. And he worked through that. Then he worked through the part where he had that losing finals record for a little bit. He kept getting them to the top 4, but they just miss out. There was a couple of straight sets, exits. He would have had all sorts of doubts there. He stuck to the way he coached. He continued to expand his mind, does a lot of off-season travel to learn from lots of different people right across the world, and he's just continued to keep this team in contention every single year and trying to raise the bar and give them a chance for that ultimate success.
He's become one of the game's great statesmen as well. I'm interested in your thoughts on him as well, Bob, but Lingy, what's his superpower? Like as a leader and as a connector of people, and someone who's obviously heavily involved from the tactician and that side of things. What is the great strength of Chris Scott?
It's his calmness. Now, people listening right now would say, "What the hell are you talking about?" Given the odd replay we see of the bang of the desk or the blowing up at an umpire, that's in the moment in the box. The moment that has passed, he's back calm, clear thinking, his communication with his players is always really considered and calm. During the week, back in the day, Murph, I don't know, you would have been like this, Bob, where if you were late to a meeting at all, it was this, you'd have cold sweats running down the back, and you were so nervous, and your mind was gone already. And during the week, the look you'd get from the coach if you walked in late as though the world was going to end. Chris Scott's not stressed about that. He's like, okay, we are full-time footballers. We are professional footballers. You might have had a massage or been chatting to the physio about something you were going to do later on in the day. Our meeting started, and you're a minute late. No stress. Come in, sit down, and engage in the meeting.
Do you know what? There's a lot that I love about that, and I love those insights because I have a completely different vantage point of Chris Scott. Never played under him, always watched from afar. But I do feel like he has changed modern footy, and I don't know if he gets credit for that. And in terms of what we think of a successful coach, he doesn't squeeze the reins, and he seems to have never done that. And one of the things I admired about him right from the very start was we did know him as this brute of a centre-half back at Brisbane. In this most successful, they were dominant team and they were vocal and they were full of bravado. He is a coach. He's never seemed to me to lean on that. It's there. We know that he's under the hood. He is still this competitor who's a brute and that he has this, history of success wherever he's been. But when he talks about football, he takes criticism. No one takes a constructive or a cynical question better than Chris Scott. He goes, it's a good question. It's an interesting point of view. Here's my counter to that. He never gets precious about it. And I just think that's different. And I think that small little example of, you're a minute late for a meeting and he doesn't fly off the handle because he knows who he is. Yep. And he knows what's important. A lot of that other stuff, that's by a bygone era. Like, why would you want your players stressed and anxious? It doesn't stand up to any sort of performance indicator. So I think that's a part of why I admire him so much.
And to highlight that, I remember speaking with Zach Toohey after he came from Carlton, and he was running late to a game in Melbourne. It must have been MCG or Docklands. And he was running late, and he was so scared. He was so scared about the phone call he had to make to say, I'm going to be late. I'm stuck in traffic. I didn't allow enough time. And the first time he did it, they're like, that's fine. No worries. As long as you get here before the game, we will warm you up separately. We'll have you ready to go whenever the time comes. We're not worried. We want you to have a nice, clear mind, a calm mind yourself. And we certainly don't want you getting in an accident by trying to rush around in traffic. When you get here, we will work through your prep to play independently of the group. Don't stress. And Zach couldn't believe it. He just thought he'd hit the wrong number and thought that's not how AFL clubs talk.
Yeah. Well, I think treating your players like adults is something that's relatively new.
Still a concept developing for some. So the Richmond side of it, Bob. So no Tom Lynch out there. We know all that's happened during the week, and so they are very young, particularly up front, which is their youngest sort of sector of the ground, if you like. If you're the leaders of this team today, Toby Nankervis, Tim Taranto, these kind of guys, how do you get your troops ready for this battle?
It's a really difficult question to answer. I think the first thing would be that the Richmond leaders would and should be pretty dirty on Tom Lynch, because this is still, if it's not the toughest trip in footy, it's right up there. And they've got their work cut out for them, clearly. They would have loved another senior head. They would have loved another older player in there to steady the nerves a bit. And their challenges will come, and they'll get them pretty early, one would think. So I look at a player like Nick Vlaston, who has the general admiration of the entire footy community for the way he plays. He needs a level of pressure on the footy to be at his absolute best. I think the way he's playing in this side has taken the way I've seen him to even a whole other level. He's still able to play that way, but it'll be a much tougher assignment for him today. So they need some of their younger players to find a little bit. And one of the things in football that I've always kind of queried is when talking about a young team, they say, you've just got to get 50 or 60 games into them. Now, I understand that theory. But if you get belted, and if you get belted severely from the start, not only do you not get that game of experience, you can actually do damage to young players and young teams. So we're all expecting Geelong to run away with it at some stage today. You just want it to be delayed. You want the Tigers to answer the bell, and that's not about age or experience. That's about just meeting the intensity of the contest right from the start. So whether it's their experienced players or the younger players, they can all do that. You think the Cats will get them, but if they can hang in for a little while, then they get some much-needed experience for when they have their next tilt at it.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for them today. The tests don't come much tougher than Geelong at Geelong. We know that for sure. Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy are experts here on ABC Sport. Let's check in with the final member of our broadcast team. Lex Pesce is on the boundary. Lex, it looks a bit different to the last time you were here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's completely different. Last time I was here, it was freezing, it was wet, and it was slightly windy. Today is so different. The sun's out. The temperature did start with a 2, as you guys have mentioned. Sometimes -2 down here, though, Lingy. It's perfect conditions. There's absolutely no dew on the deck either, so it is beautiful down here. The other thing I wanted to mention before we get started, Richmond are wearing black armbands today, and that is for Ian Wilson, the former Richmond president who passed away yesterday, so remembering him and dedicating this one to him.
Yeah, good shout. Thank you, Lex. The subs Morris Rioli and Mitch Duncan for their respective sides. No Bailey Smith out there for the Cats, and a debutant in George Stevens. It is an almighty test for this young Richmond team. What have they got? The Tigers and the Cats. Here's Andrew Mays.
We're about to find out as Stanley wins the tap straight to Dangerfield. Shrugged the Nankervis tackle. Got it off to Holmes, who snapped up towards right half forward. And that's a good mark taken by Blitzarves. Was going to give the footy straight away. Just held it for a moment. Guthrie goes short. Finds Manor in the pocket.
How strong is Patrick Dangerfield?
Yeah,
he was caught cold then by Toby Nankervis and just threw him off.
You just bench pressed him off with one arm. That was Bruce Lee doing two-fingered push-ups.
So Sean Manor, the 27-year-old, he will start his approach from in the gutter and he'll kick from just inside 50, right on the boundary line. This will take his best. He has a crack at it too. It's pretty good contact, but it's near side the entire way. Our first score of the afternoon is a behind for the Cats, and that is their lead after a minute.
So Noah Bolter starting up front for the Tigers, just to give them a bit of size and presence up there. Sam Banks for Richmond, who's been in good form of recent times, kicks in. Blight in the right back pocket in front of the scoreboard. Bashes it up the Hickey stand wing. O'Sullivan over the top of the pack for the Cats, brings it down. Bowes has it go through his hands and out for a throw in.
It's the really difficult thing about playing this ground when you're not used to it too much is when Geelong are able to get set and just set up entirely defensively when the ball's deep in the opposition defensive end of the ground, you just end up kicking those long, slow ones and the ball goes nowhere, and Geelong play it on their terms almost from the start. You've got to be bold with your ball use. Every chance you get, come through the corridor, take the game on, put some speed on the game whenever you can.
Yeah, number 2 in the competition for scores from their forward half, Geelong. We're looking for that kind of game today. Ball straight back over the boundary line. Thrown in again underneath that Hickey stand.
Oh, just a little bit ginger as he gets back to his feet there. Strong tackle. Ball tossed back into play, and then Curvis won it down immediately, although Stanley's on hands and knees, able to farm out the hand pass. Atkins tries to gather, almost turned tackler. Holmes in there, he's tackled. Ball going nowhere. We'll have another stoppage on the outer wing.
Lingy, I'm keen to get your thoughts on the extra number. So Richmond have got Vlosten and the Cats have got Tom Stewart, probably the two best at it in the competition. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Correct. They've also got Lawson Humphries back too, Geelong, so they've got the double.
McIntosh with a long blind kick. Stewart dropped the mark that he probably should have taken. O'Sullivan got through one tackle but not the second, and Bolter receives the free kick at right half forward for the Tigers. Here's an early chance. They can go deep inside 50, pulls the kick short at the last moment. It was a little bit wide, and Stewart happy enough to take it over the boundary line and force the boundary throw, and inside attacking 50 for the Tigers.
I saw Richmond player here.
Sammy Lawler.
Lawler, yeah, you called that with that contact.
Because he's just coming back from the hamstring injury. They took a cautious approach with him. We'll get down to Lex for the latest in a moment, but he is not even able to get up into a gallop, is Lawler, as he comes off the ground. He's got a thing for a home game for him today. The Bacchus Marsh product. Hopper on the edge of the 50 of the stoppage. Curls it around the body. Marked by O'Connor in defence for the Cats. Swings it across the goal face to the broadcast side now for Guthrie. Sam Lawler still not off the ground, so
he's sore, isn't he?
Yeah, that left hamstring's got him in a world of pain at the moment. Exiting kick up toward Blitzarves in front of the interchange. Knocks it down cleverly for Myers. Nice little kick around the body. Neil, he did not see the man coming off the bench in Sonsi holding the ball. Let's check in with Lex. How does Sam Lawler look, Lex?
Not good at all. His face says it all. He's grimacing in pain. He looks very upset as well. So he's just with the doctors now and keep you updated.
To be fair, when he got to his feet on the outer side, he was ginger, but not that ginger. So I wonder if something might have happened subsequently as well from the stoppage.
The worry is, too, that he is holding really high up on that left hammy. If it's a hammy.
If it's hamstring, it looks really, really troublesome. Hopefully it's just a knock.
Hopefully a knock, yeah.
Guthrie with the footy, hands it back to the umpire for the ball up. Tigers with the stoppage. Taranto into Ralph Smith, got his hands free, did well. Hand pass to Presti, along looping hand pass forward is good. Campbell could go inside, attacking 50, but lovely one-on-one win. And O'Connor takes the mark, goes short to Guthrie, inside defensive 50. Another stabbing ball up the field to Myers. Now close, you can turn and go. He's in between wing and left half forward, draws the man on the mark and then gives it to Myers, who delivers beautifully inside attacking 50, and Cameron on his chest hardly had to move.
That is superb by Myers. I think there were a few people a little unhappy with some Geelong fans in that Brisbane game where they gave Brian Myers a Bronx cheer because he finally hit a target. He didn't have a great kicking night, but along with a lot of other Geelong players, when he can run around doing things like that, I think if he has one bad night, you just back off him a little bit. He uses the ball so well with that distinctive kicking motion.
5 minutes played opening term. Jeremy Cameron with his first shot at goal this afternoon. Keeps it low, bends it back, and it just fades across for one behind. The Cats double their score, 2 behinds. The Tigers yet to score after 5.5 minutes in the opening term.
Sam Lawler continues a very slow limp around the boundary to the Richmond rooms. Good thing they moved them and they're not across the other side of the ground like they used to be.
So disappointing, giving the opposition such good rooms now. Send them back the other side, Bob.
The radio mics never worked down there for the interview afterwards either.
It was a big old stand among the fridges and try and grab a player over there. McIntosh on the outer side. Now he gets it on, low kick up the line's a good one. And Campbell's marked on the edge of the 50 here for Richmond. Pokes it into the pocket. Bolter the target. He's got it just inside the line. Noah Bolter, right forward pocket, 40 metres out. Pace inside the boundary line. He's going to drop it off to Mansell, who's on no better angle but 20 metres closer to goal. And Ryan Mansell can go around the corner and try and give the Tigers an early lead.
Just a little bit of standing still and watching from the Geelong defenders there. They left a little hole. Mansell's a beautiful kick of the footy too.
Still take his best.
Yeah.
So Ryan Mansell, 7-11 on the season. The check side, he pumps the fist as soon as he strikes it. That's a lovely finish from the Tasmanian. And the Cats find themselves behind after a couple of early scoring shots. Richmond, 1 straight 6. Geelong, 2 behind. 7 played opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Cameron Ling and Bob Murphy.
We talked about the challenge for a young Tigers outfit today and the importance of not getting stuck in that back 50, particularly on this ground against the almighty Cats. It's a real trap. If you move the ball so slowly, you can just be there all afternoon. And they were able to move it really quickly and showed some good poise. And Noah Bolter, who's playing, I know he's played a bit of forward, but it's really a bit of a makeshift tactical move in the absence of Tom Lynch. But he's caused Geelong trouble in the early going here and just showed a bit of nice composure to get it to Mansell. And we know how skillful he is. And it was a beautiful banana from deep in the pocket.
Back in the middle, Richmond with a lead for the first time this afternoon. Lovely tap from Nankervis. Got it down to Hopper, who can kick inside attacking 50. Bit of penetration on the ball, no mark taken. At the fall of the ball, well done by O'Sullivan to gather and then kick as long as he can. Up beyond the centre square. Boston's in a battle at ground level.
Superb.
Well enough. Lovely composure. And then the short chip is able to find Taranto. Hand pass quickly to McIntosh. And now they can fire again inside attacking 50. Mansell's caught behind that time. Did well enough to get the spoil in. And then Henry applies some pressure at ground level. Mansell went fishing, farmed it out. Off to McIntosh, who bounces a ball. It's all Cats, though, with the numbers. O'Connor hits it to Humphries, who's happy to take a bounce, make that 2, maybe a third. No. Hand pass is okay, then he comes wider still to Blitzard on a long lead, who takes the mark, a right half back for the Cats.
So Blitzard's looking to move it on. Does so now. Kicks long up the line. Presentation from Neal. Had to go through his hands. Whips the kick around the body. Tumbling ball that Broad's got to sit with. He does well. Judged it nicely. Under the pressure. Got it to Blight. Now to Miller. The West Australian off a step, just blasts it into the middle of the ground. It sits up awkwardly and dragged down is O'Connor. He's caught in a tackle and Curvis wraps him up. Really a place too many would want to be. Tackled by Toby Nankervis. And a ball up centre wing broadcast side here at Kenya Park. 9 minutes gone. Tigers with an early 4-point lead. Manor at the stoppage. Wobbles a kick forward straight onto the chest of Close. He kicks inside the forward 50 and reaching up to mark is Cameron, who missed one from the other side earlier in the corner.
Just a nightmare matchup, Jeremy Cameron. He's so good overhead. He's deceptively tall, and we know his athleticism up the ground when he wants to work him over.
When he marks it out, fully stretched like that.
48 on the season so far for Jezza. Chalk up another. He leads the way in the Coleman. And he edges closer to 700 career goals, now only 3 away. Geelong back in front, 1-2-8. Richmond 1 straight 6. 10 minutes gone, opening term. Alexia Pesse downstairs.
Richmond have made their sub, so Maurice Rioli has come into the action, and that means that Sammy Lawler is off.
Yeah, it's a big worry, Lawler. We haven't seen a replay of when he did it, and we're kind of hoping for the knock, but when he's been subbed already, you assume it's probably soft tissue, and the way that he came off up high and in so much discomfort looks like a nasty one. And I hate seeing that. Such a high draft pick.
I'm not a doctor, nor am I a physio, but if it's hamstring, it looks like the dreaded tendon involvement.
Yeah, it's got that written all over it.
Cats back in the middle. Nice forage forward there by Stevens in his first game. Now the hand pass wasn't able to get free of these hands there, and a turnover ball here for Geelong at centre-half forward. So they can enter inside attacking 50 again. Henry's going to pop this into the forward pocket. Cameron from 3 deep almost took it. Ralph Smith roved. Did he get a hand pass away? Umpire said no. So it is holding the ball and a free kick for Close. Or in fact,
the tackle for Jack Bowes. He perfectly executed that. Grabbed one arm, the handballing hand, but didn't sling and obviously put him into a dangerous position. Just didn't allow Ralph Smith to be able to get that handball through.
Makes it easy for the umpire, doesn't it, when you can tackle him like that.
Right forward pocket for Jack Bowes. Opens up the angle, snaps it with his left, and he has his first of the afternoon. 2-2-14 now the Cats. The Tigers 1 straight 6. We've played 11 minutes in the opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
You mentioned it before the game, Lingy, around Geelong coming off the bye. We know that they've got the artillery to overpower Richmond today, but just the intensity of their forward pressure in the last couple of minutes, I think that would really please Chris Scott as they continue their march towards September action. But that was a really positive sign off the back of a bye, just to get after the Richmond defenders and put them under so much pressure, resulting in 2 free kicks and a goal.
Because Richmond are getting a number or 2 back there, so they're going to have support back there, but when there's buzzing around with that pressure, Chris Scott would be loving that from the Cats.
So restart here. Tom Sims into the ruck now against Mark Blitzarves. Stevens is grabbed in the tackle. And a ball up. George Stevens, the Warrnambool product, in for his first game today after being made to wait a year and a half on the sidelines. Ross with the clearing kick for Richmond. Bounces its way toward half forward. Campbell's out after it. Coming over the top was Jack Martin. And it's going to be a ball up underneath our broadcast position here in the ABC Sport commentary box. Sims reaches up this time. Knocks it down. He's looking for Sonsi on the end of it. Harry Birch says, that's mine. I'll toss it up still at half forward here for Richmond.
Blitzarves won it down, bounced back to him in fact. Presti was pushed off the footy. Taranto wrestles a couple, can't break free, and we'll have another stoppage at left half forward for the Tigers. Tossed up. Wrestling again, Blitzarves won the tap down. It ricochets, in fact, to Traino. Kicks inside 50 and good mark taken by Humphreys on that occasion. Reaching over the top of Rioli. Comes to the broadcast side. Mark taken by Bowes. Gives it to Martin, who trods the boundary line and pulls the kick nicely to Blitzarves. Probably had his arms chopped there. Umpire wave play on. Now broad at ground level. Hand pass inboard to Taranto. Got round one tackle. Just got his hand pass away. Back to Broad, but put him under all sorts of pressure. Turns the ball over. Now Mullen shrugs one tackle. Back to O'Connor, who had a fumble. Now Ralph Smith's away. He gets to 55. Pulls the trigger. It's away to the left. And in fact, did it pitch on the line? It did. Just.
Perfectly to touch.
So it is just a ball in line. Next to the left behind post. Good result for the Tigers. We're halfway through the opening term.
He's got a rugby union name too, Ralph Smith. He's got a bit of that in the northern states.
Could be a front rower somewhere.
Yeah, could be.
Jasper Elgin now limping down into the rooms. We'll check in with Lex very shortly. Plenty happening on the bench for the Tigers. Prestia through the traffic. Kick swung out of the defensive 50 by Stanley, or at least close to. Marked by Manor. Of course, drafted out of Werribee. Some of his finest work in yellow and black. Swings it across the defensive 50. The former Albury Tiger in Connor O'Sullivan kicks up the line. Neil brings it down. McIntosh threw a boot at it, and Neil beat him to the football. He feeds the handball forward now to Dempsey, to Humphreys, to O'Connor. Back to Humphreys inside the forward 50. It's just punched on in hope by Manor, trying to create something inside forward 50. Taken away by Rioli for the Tigers. Now through Ralph Smith. They link up outside the back arc. Nice kick from Blight. Found Campbell defensive side of the wing.
He spotted Mansell as well towards the interchange benches and finds him with a nice kick. Now he's got to wait for the troops to arrive.
He can't go because Tom Stewart was set up behind the footy. Connor O'Sullivan as well on Bolter. They had the 2v1.
So holds it nicely, then goes long. Bolter couldn't get a play at it. Need a good fall. Well done by Henry. Hand pass inboard though is spilt by Atkins. Now the Tigers a chance at ground level. Hand pass came to Bolter. Dropped the footy. Tunnel balled it through his legs to O'Sullivan of the Cats. He just got rid of it at the last moment. Oh, clean was Holmes. Lovely little dish. Gave it to Stewart. His kick a little wide for Manor. And we'll have a ball in between wing and left half forward for the Tigers. 2-2-14 the Cats. 1 straight 6 Richmond after 15 minutes.
Let's go down to Lex. Ball being thrown back in right in front of you, Lex.
It is indeed. Jasper Alger, though, has gone into the rooms getting his ankle checked. He did do some work with the doctors, but he's nowhere to be seen at the moment.
Thank you. Ball slapped back toward the boundary line. Stayed in. Just rotated on its axis right on the chalk. There was a chance there for Hopper, and Dangerfield burst away with it. 3-metre hand pass to Stanley. Quick reflexes, able to snatch it out of the air. Kicks up the line toward Henry. And Miller with him every step of the way to see it out of play. Toss back in.
Dangerfield wanted a runner to come with him then, and unfortunately it was the ruckman who thought, no, you're better off going. So Reece Stanley stopped, but you can see how Geelong are trying to be really dynamic from the stoppages, be on the move, try and catch Richmond out by going through the front.
Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy, your experts on ABC Sport. 0437 774 774, the text line to get involved. Holmes links up with Martin at the stoppage. Holmes dribbles a kick inside the forward 50. Cut off by McIntosh of the Tigers. Handball to Campbell. Handball to the lethal leg of Tom Brown. Bursting down the outer wing. Chips it forward. It's a good kick. Finds Rioli in front of halfway.
He wants to keep going quickly. Pops it over the top to Campbell, who kept on running. Takes a good mark in front of Humphreys. Still 60 from goal.
I love their run and dare, Richmond. They're taking it up to Geelong with their ball movement as much as anything at the moment.
Long kick into the pocket. Again, the target is Nankervis and Fall, and neither of them can get a play at the footy before it's smashed away out for a boundary throw in right forward pocket for the Tigers.
And they're being smart with it too, aren't they, Bob? Because they can't go long because Stewart or Jack Henry or whoever it might be is set up long. So they're just picking them apart a little bit.
The different gears of when to go quick and when to slow it down has been pleasing early.
Thrown back into play. Nankervis grabbed it out of the ruck, was looking for a little dish. Atkins is able to win it. Little hand pass is okay to Guthrie, who goes straight down the middle. Good contest in the air. No mark taken at ground level. Manor fights hard for it. He's taken. It popped out through his legs, in fact, and then Dangerfield tries to burst away. Pulled back underneath him. Umpire lets them play here. Over the top comes Banks. Hand pass away to Mansell is good. And now the Tigers are away through right half forward. Rioli pokes it into the pocket. Can Campbell run onto it? He can. How about a pig? He goes the banana. Oh, he hit the post. Jeez, it was a fair effort from the right forward pocket on the run. It's got a bit about him.
Oh, yeah.
2-2. The Cats. 1-1. The Tigers.
Quickly brought back into play. Geelong wasting no time with the footy at all. Guthrie to Humphreys. Now back to Guthrie, who just lopes it forward and nurses the kick down the line off a couple of steps. Bounces out of play. It will be tossed back in.
And that's the way Richmond's got to play. Even Campbell having that shot. They just play with that bravery and dare and a little bit of excitement. Ultimately, it may not be sustainable and it may not win the game. Probably not. But that's the way you learn to play.
If they play too safe, it just becomes like floodgates eventually.
Yes. Yep.
So I love their dare at the moment.
Nankervis slaps it out in ruck. Coming back the other way, though, the Cats through Manor. Pokes it inside the forward 50. Brown collects the bouncing ball. Handball into the back pocket. Trainer left it behind. Floston had to try and mop it up. He was grabbed immediately underneath the scoreboard. And we'll have it tossed up. Geelong 2-2, Richmond 1-1, 19 and a half gone. Opening term, Saturday footy in the Pivot City on ABC Sport.
Tossed up. Neil from behind. Went it to Dangerfield. Goes back to Neil. Who slapped it away from the area immediately. Now it gets back into congestion. We'll have another ball up, this time closer to the paint of the 50-metre line. Cats by 7. Then Curvis puts his head over the footy at ground level, and then he's tackled immediately by Atkins, and we'll have another stoppage, this time on the paint of 50.
They're going to have to run and carry at Richmond if they do win it. There's Stanley back and Stewart back for the Cats, set up perfectly.
It's got the wall to try and navigate through. Trainer inside the defensive 50. Handball's a little bit dicey. Brown almost pushed off it by close. Picked up by Sonsi. He's dragged down in the tackle. 40 metres out from the Geelong goal at the Barwon River end. We'll have it tossed aloft. Healthy crowd in that players' stand as well, as there is much of the ground here at Kinnear Park. Beautiful Saturday twilight conditions for footy. Sonsi away from the stoppage. Hands it off to Prestia. Darts the kick down the line. Hits the chest of Tom Sims. One of the many Richmond rookies plying their trade this season. Comes out wide to Hopper, not the required distance back to Banks. Now he's got to manufacture something. Flicks the handball over the top. It's an intelligent one to Sonsi. Nurses the kick down the line for Richmond. Inside the 50, coming crashing through was O'Sullivan to belt it away from Mansell and see it into touch at the junction of the 50 and the boundary. Left half forward, Richmond into attack.
But again, a couple of little opportunities to go quick, and they used it. They lowered their eyes, found a little hit up, rather than just kicking it long to where Stewart was set up. It's okay at the moment for the Tigers.
Thrown in.
Being brave.
Stanley, I think as far as Rioli, he's taken in a strong tackle, this time by Martin. We'll have another ball up, this time inside attacking 50 for the Tigers, so they can set up defensively. Boston the spare, in fact Broad the spare at the moment in the middle of the ground. From the stoppage, Close goes in, so does Ralph Smith. Able to farm it out, but only a small hand pass before Prestia is mobbed, and we'll have another stoppage inside attacking 50 for the Tigers.
21 and a half gone. Cats by 7. Close away from the stoppage. He was facing the boundary line when he got the kick away. Atkins able to chase it down. His kick smothered by Ross, who was desperate for the Tigers. And it'll be tossed back in. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays, Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy and Lex Pesce with you. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. 0437 774 774, the text line. Get in touch with us this afternoon. Slapped out toward the boundary line where Bolter collects it and out. We've got mixed views on the text line as always, Maisie. Peter from Q says nothing more annoying than commentators referring to a kick as a check side. It is a boomerang. Always has been, always will be.
I always called it a banana.
I would have thought where does that leave the banana?
A boomerang is something you throw. Rich then from Ocean Grove has texted in saying, loving the call. Is there another sport in the world where a commentator would excitedly exclaim, and he goes the banana? So we're casting all kinds of views on the text line this afternoon. 0437 774 774. Cats with the free kick to Stevens at half back.
He goes to Holmes, who missed Martin, and the hand pass was only 3 metres away. It's a turnover ball. Ralph Smith gets the hand pass away to Hopper, who can enter 50. Full takes it at 51.
Numbers in the middle if they want it.
He's got Rioli in the middle. Oh, he just couldn't spot him. Still got a couple of numbers there. Instead, he goes deeper. He goes all the way downtown, and that was always left. Jeez, he got a fair bit on that because it smashed into the advertising hoarding 10 metres behind the goal line, but it is one behind. 2-2-14 Geelong. 1-2-8 the Tigers. 23 played opening term.
So Humphreys to waltz in from fullback for the Cats. Takes a bounce. It was a slightly awkward one. He kicks up toward Holmes, who juggled it over the line. Free kick or the mark. Take your pick. Let's go to Lex downstairs.
It's not good on the Richmond bench. Now Tom Brown's getting some treatment on, I think, his ankle. So they're down on the bench, and this isn't good either, but let's see if he comes back.
So we know that they've lost Lawler. They might have lost Elgar, and now Tom Brown's in a little bit of trouble. So that injury woe deepens for Richmond. Geelong knock it around inside the defensive 50. Cameron or Holmes, they could have raffled it. Jeremy Cameron comes up to Mark, cuts his kick into the centre of the ground aggressively to Atkins. Then he cruises on past, gets on the left boot, flares the kick to left half forward over the head of Myers, taken down by McIntosh, followed up at ground level. Cameron was there trying to make the contest work for Geelong. Footy spilled away to Prestia. His kick up the line. Taranto almost reeled it in with the one hand coming over the top. Sonsi bounces off Atkins. Myers there at ground level. All of this in the centre square of Cardinia Park. And now the Cats come away with it. Stanley
Dangerfield
releases deep. Dempsey. He does have danger deep, Bob. Goes in that direction. Dangerfield, two-grabber, pulls it in, top of the square. Great call from Bob Murphy. Spotted it immediately. And Paddy's got it 15 out directly in front.
And they were in a world of hurt, weren't they, Bob? Because you called Dangerfield deep and Blitzarves had drifted in. The Richmond defenders again. Well, which one do I go to?
And that was the thing. Blitzarves was there, Dangerfield. The Richmond defender was split. Danger ends up with it, but it could have easily just have been Blitzarves.
You go to Danger, don't you?
Yeah, I think so, just for... He knows which way his bread's buttered.
351st game for Paddy. 35 years of age, and he's still the danger man up front. He kicks the Cats third, and they skip away late in this opening term. Geelong 3-2-20, Richmond 1-2-8. 25 and a half minutes gone. Opening term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport before the thoughts of Bob and Lingy. Let's go downstairs to Lex Pesce.
And now Camden McIntosh has come off to the Richmond bench with blood streaming down his face.
Jeez. Okay, well, let's hope he'll be right to get back on the ground. Just get
Physio's getting paid overtime.
He's already got the headband, so let's walk on the sunny side of the street. No tape required.
The headband's doing its job. It's not holding back his hair.
It really is the last thing they needed. They're up against it anyway, but they lose Lawler early.
I don't reckon Camden McIntosh would have got a heap of sympathy as he came off, and so you'll be right.
How'd you get?
Hopper with the clearance in the middle. Just lowered his eyes nicely there and found the run of Rioli, who can now kick inside attacking 50 for the Tigers. Goes a little wider instead over the head of Campbell. Now for a boundary throw in 52 from the Richmond goal.
I think we've all admired the bravery and dare that Richmond have shown early. Just in the last few minutes with their ball movement, their composure has just dropped off a little bit. They've had options in the middle of the ground just better. You just wonder with fatigue if that might be the first thing to go rather than the effort.
Throwing back into play. Slapped down by Nankervis. It ricochets back to Stanley. Now Taranto is able to soccer it to the advantage of Hopper, who kept it in. Fall taken in, a strong tackle by Stewart. And good effort at ground level by Taranto to meet Stewart. The ball rebounds out for a boundary throw, and this time inside attacking 50 for the Tigers.
And Bob, just to highlight that effort that Richmond is putting in, they're +4 in contested possessions against the Cats.
That's answering the bell, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
After they got really blown up in that stat last week by Adelaide. Free kick coming to Geelong here. It's after take it from inside the D50. Lex, it's very busy downstairs.
It is very busy. It's one in, one out in the Richmond's room at the moment. Camden McIntosh, I think, going to have a little stitches, but Jasper Alger is back out here doing some run-throughs now.
Actually, you did an interchange, a little high-five as they walked past each other along the boundary line too. So they've got two separate interchanges going on at the moment, Richmond. Turnover kick from Blitzarves to the opposite number 46 in Blight. Big contest there from the Tigers from Johnsy Fall. Couldn't make it work, but it spilled away to Ross. Ross kicks to a 1-on-2 deep inside forward 50. And Jack Henry floats across as he so often does. Intercepts for the Cats. Gets them going back the other way. Holmes now chips it over the top to Myers. He's got Zach Guthrie running past. Rioli runs interference on the outer wing. Did well. Guthrie drags him down. And we'll have a ball up centre wing outer side. Cats by 12. 28 gone opening turn.
Max Holmes has had 8 disposals already, but I just reckon Chris Scott will talk to him at quarter time to say, come on, sharpen your work up a little bit. He's missing kicks, he's overrunning the foot, he's dropping simple marks, which for his high standards is well below them.
Cameron Ling on ABC Sport. Myers, short kick is okay. Fons Dempsey can load up inside attacking 50. Long kick, near will fly. Couldn't bring it to ground. Did the work at ground level though. Got it out to Cameron. Taken in a strong tackle by Banks. He got the hand pass away. Manor now spins. His kick smothered. Smashed down by Broad. And then, geez, not much of an effort to keep that in by Banks, but he's happy enough to concede the boundary throw in next to the left behind post.
29 gone opening term. Tigers kick the first, Cats the next 3. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays. A couple of captains in Cameron Ling and Bob Murphy. And Lex Pesce downstairs. And then Curver slaps it out in ruck, straight to Myers, off a step. You can't give him that kind of chance, and he just pushes the kick away to the right. 3-3 to 1-2. Cats lead by 13 late in the opener.
He'll never miss that shot again in his career.
I had to pen it off to put it in.
He can't believe it. He's sort of looking at the sky. Come on.
Sudden gust of wind.
Does it in his sleep, usually.
Banks runs his full measure, then kicks outside of defensive 50. No mark taken, falls there to compete. Stanley gets a kick forward. It's an ugly one inside 50. Gathered beautifully, though, by Cameron. Turned towards the boundary. Flying shot at goal. It's across the face, and Vlosten forced to spoil. It goes out of bounds across the face of goal, next to the right behind post this time. Stoppage to take place. 21 plays 8. We've played 30 minutes in this opening term on ABC Sport.
Earlier today, the Suns too good for the Dons. Later tonight, Brisbane, Port Adelaide for our South Australian audience. St Kilda and Hawthorn for the rest of you at the stoppage. Tigers working it by hand defensively. Scrambled out of there by Sonsi. Falls taken a couple of heavy hits in this term. Competed again there nicely. Rioli's kick inside the back arc was dangerous. Vlosten tried to run it out of there. He got a little bit of help from Hopper, but they've turned it over here as the quarter closes. O'Connor's kick inside the forward 50 for the Cats. Can't find a target. And we end with 3 consecutive goals to Geelong, opening up a 13-point lead after the opening term. Richmond struck first at the 7-minute mark with a Ryan Mansell snap. It was all the Cats thereafter with 3-3 on the board. And Nick Vlosten with the late bump on Patrick Dangerfield. I saw those two get acquainted just after the siren sounded, and that was the precursor to that little incident. It's been a bit of injury worries for Richmond as well in that opening term. We'll get an update on the other side of the break on that with Lex also. Goal kickers in that opening term. Jack Bowes, who was the late inclusion for Bailey Smith, kicked 1. Patrick Dangerfield's got 1. Jeremy Cameron has 1. And it was the Mansell goal for Richmond that gave them the early start. But it is Geelong by 13 points at the end of the opening term. 3-3 plays 1-2 second half or second quarter coming up shortly. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Don't miss a minute of the action. Live from Wimbledon. On now.
Take it with you on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
It is an almighty test for this young Richmond team. What have they got? The Tigers and the Cat. Noah Bolter, right forward pocket, 40 metres out. He's going to drop it off to Mansell, who's on no better angle, but 20 metres closer to goal. So Ryan Mansell, 7-11 on the season. The check side, he pumps the fist as soon as he strikes it. That's a lovely finish from the Tasmanian. And the Cats find themselves behind. Sam Lawler's still not off the ground, so that left hamstring's got him in a world of pain at the moment. Manor at the stoppage, wobbles a kick forward, straight onto the chest of Close. He kicks inside the forward 50 and reaching up to mark is Cameron.
Just a nightmare matchup, Jeremy Cameron. He's so good overhead.
48 on the season so far for Jezza. Chalk up another. He leads the way in the Coleman, and he edges closer to 700 career goals, now only 3 away.
Henry's going to pop this into the forward pocket. Cameron from 3 deep almost took it. Ralph Smith roved. Did he get a hand pass away? Umpire said no. So it is holding the ball. Right forward pocket for Jack Bowes. Opens up the angle, snaps it with his left, and he has his first of the afternoon.
Richmond have made their sub, so Maurice Rioli has come into the action, and that means that Sammy Lawler is off.
Stanley
Dangerfield
releases deep. Dempsey. He does have danger deep. Bob goes in that direction. Dangerfield, 2-grabber, pulls it in, top of the square.
Blitzarves have drifted in. Well, which one do I go to? You go to danger, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Just for he knows which way his bread's buttered.
351st game for Paddy, 35 years of age, and he's still the danger man up front. He kicks the Cats third.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Well, that's those 3 goals in a row that gave Geelong a 13-point lead at the end of the opening term. 3-3-21 to the Tigers. 1-2-8 Saturday footy on ABC Sport from Canadian Park. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling it for you. Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy, our experts. Lex Pisher is on the boundary. We'll check in on the latest on the Richmond injury front very shortly. Emma, a match review findings are in from last night's game. So it was really just that West Coast GWS game that also almost happened under the cover of darkness last night. That was the main findings here. So Harley Reid got fined for rough conduct on Xavier O'Halloran. Tom Green was fined for striking Harley Reid, which was the elbow to the stomach that saw the number 1 pick of a couple of years ago go down, but no suspensions out of last night's West Coast and GWS game, which is good news. Earlier today, it was the Suns too good for Essendon. They really raced away with that to win by 40-odd points. And later tonight, Brisbane, Port Adelaide and St Kilda Hawthorn. Before we hear from Bob and from Lingy, Lex, how many players have Richmond got out there at that huddle at the moment?
Just 10. No, I'm kidding. I think that Jasper Agger will be okay. He came back out and was on the bike moments before the siren went, so they'd have to persevere with him. Probably jabbed up his ankle and off he goes. Tom Brown has plenty of strapping on his ankle, so he should be right to go, but that means there's 2 players probably playing a little bit ginger. Camden McIntosh is back out there. There's no way he was missing with just a cut on his eye, but we haven't seen Sammy Lawler just yet.
Yeah, of course, the sub was made earlier in that term. Rioli coming into the game for Lawler. Bob Murphy, Cameron Ling, what have you made of the opening term?
Well, Bob, we got what we were after from a spectacle perspective. The Tigers were competitive. Yeah. They won the contested ball. They tried to use the ball a little bit differently, didn't just blaze away and kick it straight back to the Cats. And we got a contest. On the flip side, though, we probably saw Geelong pretty efficient when they went forward. They were able to control the ball, 31 marks in a quarter of footy. It feels like it's going to build and become overwhelming, but credit to Richmond. They took it up to them for a period of that first quarter.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried early when I saw that both teams had the extra defender. Now, Nick Vlosten, if he's not the best loose defender in the league, then probably Tom Stewart is. They had mirrored each other. My concern was, are the Tigers, through Adamuze, setting themselves, look, let's just go into damage control right from the start? But I was heartened by the fact that wasn't matched by their decision-making and their attitude towards attacking the game and the offense of the game. You could tell by their decision-making they'd get the ball in there, and their first thought was to take at the Geelong defenders. They took the game on. They had 17 inside 50s. Now, they were going into what looks to be a slight breeze, but they're down here at GMHBA. It's a tough assignment. 17 inside 50s to 11, so they took it up to the Cats. But in terms of the spacing, when the game was played on Geelong's terms, you see them, they've played this game, their experience, they spread the game and the field really wide. The Tigers, as the quarter wore on, just were bees to the honey pot a little bit.
They were a little bit. You're right. And Joel in our pretty much asked you about the leaders from Richmond, what to expect from them. We got it from Hopper and Taranto.
Yeah.
They hunted after the footy, 12 disposals to Jacob Hopper, 9 to Tim Taranto. So they were hunting around at the ball. But you're right. Once it then got to the outside later in the quarter, Geelong were able to expand the ground and change those angles a little bit and get it into a dangerous
the Cats can do it without burning so much energy. The Tigers, it's really red line intensity, but that comes at a cost maybe later on in the game. But they've shown plenty of heart early.
558 games of experience between Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling with you on ABC Sport. Maybe Nick Vlosten with something to worry about as well. Came 250 next week, but that bump on Dangerfield late in the opening term might have him under the scrutiny of the match review officer as well. Second quarter is underway, as he always does. Tom Atkins is in there doing the hard, tough stuff in the middle, laying the tackle on Dion Prestia. And Curvis for Richmond. Cameron's up around the footy. Manor to Dangerfield, up at half forward, lofts the kick inside the arc into space for Neal. He had a little paddle around the body, was clever, ran back onto the footy and curled it home. Shannon Neal, big men shouldn't be doing things like that. And this big talented West Australian continues to strut his stuff up front for the Cats. 4-3-27. Richmond 1-2-8. That's 4 in a row for Geelong, and they get their first of the second term within a minute of the resumption.
And smart by Paddy Dangerfield. They eventually won the ball. They got the clear possession. Could have gone maybe an extra handball to Brad Close, I think it was. Instead thought, let's just get it into that forward line.
It's kind of an unusual entry. It's almost from our era, Cameron, and we're happy to talk about that, as all past footballers are, to talk about their eras. But it really was a kick to space on the fat side of the ground, which you don't see a lot of.
No, you worry about the counter-attack from that position, but that was the right time to do it.
It was a beautiful finish. That's where, like, the missed tackle there for the Tigers, they can't give away those little half chances.
Stanley reaches over the top from the resumption, smashes it forward. Hopper chased after it. He was tackled and will have another stoppage. Cats are gained about 20 metres heading forward. Still inside the centre square.
I'm glad you brought that up, Bob. That was my bread and butter as an under-18 full forward. that kick out to the fat side, just body the opponent.
Stanley over the back, looking for Dangerfield, who's on hands and knees. Rioli's over the top of him. Atkins reaches it clear. Kicked inside 50, bounced off the chest, unfortunately, of Blight. Now a chance for Myers. He lowers his eyes beautifully. And the mark is taken almost at the top of the square by Cameron. He juggled it. And he'll snap this around his body as he looks for his second of the afternoon. He goes quickly as well. Keeps it low, Jezza, and he has another. That's his second. The Cats have 5. 5-3-33. Plays 1-2-8. We've played 2 minutes in this second term on ABC Sport.
I said before the nightmare matchup that Jeremy Cameron is, when he reached up and took that one. But that first marking contest, Shannon Neal was the direct Geelong player involved, but Jeremy Cameron was there. The moment he could no longer impact that contest, he was just gone.
Yeah.
He almost plays with a quick decision like a small forward.
He does.
player.
Yeah, he does. He gets excited. You see, like the Tigers, they've given up 2 opportunities, one with a missed tackle, one with a drop chest mark. Like that's just the basics of footy that opens the door for the Cats. I'm just going to keep an eye on Brad Close, Brian Myers. Whenever they touch the ball in the front 70 metres of the ground, Jeremy Cameron ends up with a shot.
So many weapons for this Geelong team. And Jezza now 8 clear in the Coleman as well. Brings up his 50th goal of the season. 8 times that he's done that in his career, and he's only 2 away from 700 career goals. Myers in the middle of the ground for Geelong. Floats the kick out wide. Drifts into the path of Bowes. Now a little chip over the top from Martin. Finds Holmes. Right half forward for the Cats. Kick and a half from home. Kicks to the pocket. Very wide. Too wide. Out of bounds on the full. Ollie Henry trying to chase it down. Kick will be taken by Nathan Broad. Cats by 25. Early stages, second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Lingy asked for the little sharpen up for Max Holmes at quarter time, and he's put his first disposal out of bounds on the full.
He wasn't listening at quarter time. It was a very lazy kick.
Good kick in the middle by Miller. He finds Prestia at centre half back, who gives it to the running Banks. He kicks to Rioli.
That's the run and dare.
Kick, and now Rioli inside attacking 50. Bolter turns around, takes it on his chest. Lovely transition from the young Tigers.
We're looking for moments, aren't we, as much as anything? And the Tigers are not out of it by any stretch just yet. But we're looking for moments, and that's a brave way to play a game down here. And hats off to the young Tigers who have taken it on, and hopefully they can get a reward here to fill their boots and to keep them going, keep them in this contest.
Noah Bolter's on a slight angle to the left. He's going to snap it round his body from 45. This is a man who can kick 60, and he's pushed it across the face.
Everything about that looked and felt, maybe it even smelt unnatural.
One behind. 5-3-33 the Cats, 1-3-9 the Tigers. They need to take every chance this afternoon.
It looked like Noah Bolter's seen someone do that at training a couple of times and thought, I'll never get that opportunity, but if I did, I wonder what it would happen.
And now he knows, and now he won't do it again. Guthrie at half-back for Geelong. It's a beautiful kick from Banks right up the middle. What a find he's been off half-back for Richmond with no Jaden Short. Guthrie's kick in front of the interchange. Brad Close scooped it up. Kept it moving. Kick up toward Henry. That's Ollie Henry. Brought it down only as far as Floston. Off to Nankervis. Off a step from just inside the defensive arc. Kicks up the line and Guthrie floats across. He's able to pluck it out of what is fast becoming a dimming sky. Off to Myers, dashes through the centre of the ground. Now to Stevens, the first gamer. Back to Myers, low kick inside the forward 50. Absolute bread and butter for Brian Myers, and Holmes marks 46 from goal.
It started over here, though, with Zach Guthrie, who's playing a brilliant game already. I remember a time when Geelong fans went, why is this kid in the team? He weighed about 25 kilos, springing wet, and he'd get pushed out of the way. And he's a great lesson for development. Some players take that bit longer. They've got to build a body for AFL footy, but he's so important to the Cats now.
Max Holmes lets it go from outside 50, gives it an almighty ride right to the line. It's slapped back into play. Trainer tried to see it through. Stanley hooks it over his head. He misses away to the right-hand side. That margin back to 25 for Geelong. 6.5 gone. Second term on ABC Sport. Plenty of sport as well right around the country on the ABC listen up. You can get the Matildas in Panama, which is being played in Bunbury. After 27 minutes, it is 0-0 in that fixture.
It's a very good app, the ABC Listen app.
All kinds of stuff on there.
For what it's worth. Very good.
O'Sullivan snaps it back inside, attacking 50 for the Cats. Trainer at the fall of the ball. He's able to gather. Now to Brown. Goes back by hand. And a little dicey on the exit, although Blight found Rioli on the outer side. And now they can be away, the Tigers, although Rioli puts it in front of Prestia. Didn't quite get to him. Cats can come back through Mullen. Short pass. He's called play on. Bose kicks inside, attacking 50. Oh, it was almost perfect delivery, but very brave going back with the flight of the ball was Broad, and Henry couldn't get his hands anywhere near it. Spoiled out for a boundary throw-in.
Bravish. Bravish.
Yeah, but that man's put his body on the line many times. You give him a little pass. It happens to the best of us.
Shannon Neal has an almighty fresh area at the ruck contest. It spills away to Brian Myers, who's missed another snap.
Bob, you said it wasn't going to happen again.
Well, that was the outstep of the boot. The first one was the instep. So Grimes now missed both options.
He won't miss for the next 20 years. It's a double or nothing situation.
26-point lead to the Cats after 8 minutes in the second.
2 behinds this afternoon for Grind. From the kick in, no mark taken. Tigers with the numbers at the fall of the ball. Hand pass over the top. Unfortunately from Sonzi. Goes out of bounds. And no Tiger player touched it. So we'll have a ball in right in front of the interchange benches. Just forward of centre wing for the Cats. 5-5 plays 1-3. Margin at 26 points in favour of Geelong after they kicked 3 goals in the opening term. Thrown back in. Manor at the fall of the ball, was pushed out of it, might have been held without it. He receives the free kick.
Gee, that was good stoppage craft by him though.
Had it well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Left half forward, pulls the kick slightly, looking for Cameron again. Was it in the back? No, Ralph Smith was looking for the free kick, but Big Jezza takes it over the top and can have another crack at goal. He's kicked 2 already, this for his 3rd, but the toughest shot of the afternoon for him.
Lingy, you had a better view of the replay than I did. Was it a little push or was it?
Yes, it was absolutely a little push, but probably smart ones don't make it so obvious that they force the umpire to play a free kick.
Just a garnish of push.
Yes.
Not the main dish. I get it.
Jeremy Cameron starts his approach from inside the boundary, and this one was absolutely honed in on the left goalpost and didn't move. Smashed 3/4 of the way up into it. 5-6-36 plays 1-3-9. 9 played second term.
Awfully close to out of bounds on the full from the kick in. Boston only just dragged it in. Gets it back to Miller. And out of the back pocket to Blight. Yeah, can't have been much in that. Blight kicks long up the Hickey stand side. Fall has it punched away from him. Fell to Atkins, now to O'Connor, and Myers darts the kick across the centre of the ground to Dempsey, right on the front edge of the centre square. Handball to Martin, back to Myers. Clever little kick around the body, was just pinched out of the sky by Brown, who banged it on the boot back the other way. Bouncing ball in front of Bolter on the wing, tackled by O'Sullivan. Umpire says, you're gone, Noah. Holding the ball. Free kick to the second-year Cat.
Not a lot of prior opportunity there. When you're running full speed with the bloke all over you, it's difficult to get the ball out. Let's put it that way.
Sullivan back to O'Connor, and now to Henry, who crosses to the right half-back flank where Atkins receives. He goes further wide. Now a chance for Humphries, who takes a bounce and then was pushed off the kick. Just got his boot to it at the last moment. Took a fair divot as well. Have to get some sand out there, and then that'll be thrown in now, right half forward.
That's superb by Morris Rialto.
That's an extraordinary effort.
Yeah.
But they are having to do that now, aren't they, the Tigers? Because the Cats talked about the spacing. They're just working Richmond over, and it's resulted in 8 inside 50s to 1 in favour of the Cats. The Tigers are having to cover a lot of ground just to stay in this at the moment.
Geelong by 27, blitz halves, one out of the ruck. Handpass missed the target, and Hopper receives the free kick. He was being held. Hopper at left half back. High kick. Up along the centre square. O'Sullivan was up. Got a good ride. Didn't take the mark. Ross back into the middle. Sonzi tried to spin out of a tackle. Just spotted fall out the corner of his eyes and did well to get it to him. Now the kick inside 50. Off to Bolter, who receives it on the bounce. And now Ralph Smith. That's a lovely kick from Bolter. And Ralph Smith takes the mark. Uncontested in the end. 45 out directly in front.
Yeah, because Ollie Dempsey was running back hard to the goal square as the open side winger for the Cats, expecting that kick to come to the top of the goal square. And you're right, it was a great kick by Bolter. Just left it out to Ralph Smith. Dempsey couldn't get back. Now a shot at goal. Important he kicks this just to get a little bit of reward for all the work they're doing.
They're having to work really hard, the Tigers.
So in comes Ralph Smith. A kick from about 47. Strikes it pretty well. Does it stay inside? Not quite. Across the face for one behind. 1 goal, 4-10 the Tigers. 5-6-36 the Cats. We've played 12.5 minutes in the second term.
Well, Humphries brings it back into play. Another great chase from Rioli. This time inside the forward 50 to bring it to ground. That spills the way of Jeremy Cameron, who just saunters through the defensive 50 and scoops the footy up. Outlets the kick to blitz halves, and then he kept on moving, and he flares at the left half forward for Dangerfield, and Dangerfield kicks a full forward. It'll go all the way. Dangerfield finishes off, but Jeremy Cameron, the architect of it all, with a brilliant individual display out of the defensive half. Geelong with 6 in a row. 6-6-42. Richmond 1-4-10. 2 goals to Patrick Dangerfield. The thoughts of Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling on ABC Sport.
That just had a little bit of the look of it, of Jeremy Cameron getting the ball at halfback, and it kind of took me by surprise. Like, oh, gee, he covers a bit of ground, doesn't he? He's so big and so athletic, and he looks like he's having fun when he plays footy. It looked like the year 9 kids dropping back to play against the primary school grade 6 team just for a couple of minutes. Jeremy Cameron slices through. Oh, there's Paddy Dangerfield over there, the biggest, strongest, most powerful players on the ground, just on the left foot. No worries, rolls it in. It was just, if you're a Tiger out there, you're like, don't worry about that one, Richmond. Those things will happen. That's got nothing to do with the game. That's just 2 of the best doing their thing.
So 3 goals in this second term, and the Cats are threatening to break right away in this one. Kick inside, attacking 50 again for Geelong. Close hit, the fall of the ball very quickly, then sock it out of there by Dangerfield. He misses to the near side. In fact, Henry it was who got his toe on the footy. And one behind ensues. 6-7-43 the Cats, 1-4-10 the Tigers. 14 played second term.
Tom Brown back in familiar surrounds. Of course, Dad Paul played for the Cats, and sister Millie played 9 games here as well. Long kick is marked by Taranto. Now off to Ross. Ross for Richmond. Kicks inside the forward 50. Put it where Campbell could access it. Standing in front was Martin for Geelong. Broke the tackle. Handball to O'Sullivan. And here come the Cats. Humphries away to Stevens. To Myers. So creative. Right on halfway. Loops the handball back to Humphries. Eyes up inside the 50. He spots Close. And Close takes the mark. 30 metres out. Slight angle right of centre.
Oh, that's the worry, isn't it, Bob? Richmond working so incredibly hard to get their one shot at goal. Geelong are now just slicing and dicing. They are going through so easily. They're linking up with handball. They connect so well together. They run to the really good angles to receive a handball, which creates an overlap. And then there's just forward options galore. Alarm bells everywhere right now for the Tigers.
11 goals, 4 for Brad Close on the season. 35-metre kick here. Usually a good finisher. That is no exception. And Geelong have stitched 7 in a row together to open up a 39-point lead over these young Tiger Cubs. 7-7-49 to Richmond, 1-4-10. We are 15 minutes through this second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling, your experts.
I mean, this is where it's a vicious cycle for the Tigers because they are trying hard. This is not about effort. This is not about heart. This is not about their belief in the cause. This is just about the framework and the structure and the experience of Geelong that they're able to share the load amongst each other. So when they win the ball, they've got options without having to cover enormous amounts of ground. And what that eventuates in is just this deluge of inside 50. So the Tigers having to red line it just to get the ball out of that danger zone. So they're more tired and they're getting goals scored against. So it's a confusing challenge for them at the moment if they're out there.
Taranto sockers it clear of the centre square. Landed with Campbell, who gave it back to Taranto. Kicks inside 50. Mark drop should have been taken. Bows on hands and knees. Long hand pass out of there. Intercepted by Taranto. Hand pass back inside. We'll have a stoppage at the top of 50.
Unfortunately, Bob, that's again an example you've spoken about all quarter. An easy drop chest mark.
It's not effort. It's just the little details of the game that put them under so much more pressure than they need to be.
Taranto fighting hard at ground level from the stoppage again. Did he pull that one in? Umpire says no. And we'll have another ball up, 51 from the Richmond goal. 7-7-49 Geelong, 1-4-10 Richmond. We've played 17 minutes in this second quarter. Cameron Ling and Bob Murphy, your experts this afternoon.
Here's Andrew Mays. I'm Joel Peterson calling the footy for you. Alex Pesce down on the boundary here on ABC Sport. Tigers chain it through hands inside the forward pocket. Being able to keep it in is young Jasper Alger. In the Richmond colours out of Warragul, Bob. He's a man after your own heart.
We stick together. Down there for the goals. Despite the fact that we're 2 hours from the beach, we called our footy team the Seagulls.
Playing there at Western Oval. And Curvis inside forward 50 for the Tigers. He was caught with the footy. Had ample time to get rid of it in the eyes of the umpire, and Stanley takes the free kick. Swings it across defensively. Guthrie had all kinds of numbers there, the Cats. Guthrie, the outlet hand pass to Dempsey, who had so long he sort of went with a little two-hand bounce between his legs to touch the footy on the ground. Gave it up to Holmes, back to Dempsey. It's an awkward-looking kick into the centre of the ground, but it is pulled in the safe hands of Shannon Neal. He hands it on to O'Connor, who keeps it on moving now to Dempsey. An absolute grubber of a kick inside forward 50. Finds Dangerfield. He hooks a sack around the corner. Even the miss-hits are working for the Cats at the moment. Close ends up pushing it over the line try-style. Nathan Broad's taken a hit to the eye, potentially, among all that. It's a strange little sequence. Broad went to pick the footy up, and he's...
Like it was after the fact, didn't it?
Yeah.
Down on his haunches as Brad Close got up.
Complete accident, I reckon.
Yeah, poke in the eye, though.
40-point lead to Geelong, 19 gone second term.
Broad short kick. Oh, it's intercepted by Mann. Can he gather at ground level? He's tackled. And ball just spits out at the last moment. Close onto it. A few Tigers are on to him. Dangerfield in there now. Rolls away. Somehow got it free. Henry found a bit of space. Kicks to the top of the square. Dempsey couldn't take the mark. Fights for it again at ground level. Hand pass to Myers. Back to Dempsey. He snaps. It lands in the middle of two Tigers. And Close dropped the chest mark. Who would have thought? Richmond able to come away through Prestia. He bananas as far as he can out of there to clear the danger. It's punched on intelligently. Gaining more ground up towards the wing. Stewart there, although with all the time and experience in the world. Gets it back to O'Sullivan by hand. Off to Henry. And now to Stanley, the distributor. And half back. Gets it to Neal in the centre square.
Neal's going to take a bounce through the middle. He blasts it inside the forward 50. Dangerfield coming at a rate of knots. Bounces off the bonds of Nankervis in the pack. Now Dangerfield picks it up. Outlet hand pass looking for Holmes. 30 from goal for Geelong. Off to Manor. Swings it around the corner and kicks another for the Cats. Sean Manor gets in on the act. He's got Geelong's 8th, and they've all come in a row since that opening goal of this game for Richmond. 8-8-56 to the Tigers 1-4-10. We're into time on in the second term on ABC Sport, and it's not the prettiest game of all time at the moment, Lingy, and it's getting a bit out of hand for the Tigers.
It is. Strangely enough, considering how dominant Geelong are, that was really ugly for a period of time there. Eventually, even the handball out from Dangerfield missed the target, and it looked like they were going to wreck it up again until Manor threw it on the boot and finished the work. But a lot of mistakes, and now that's the mistakes from Richmond is coming from fatigue because they're on the back foot now. Even experienced players like Floston, who I'm with you, Bob, is just an absolute star of the competition. But he's just feeling the heat.
Everyone's got their limits, don't they? He's having to carry so much responsibility down there. But that was his missed handball that ended up putting the pressure on his fellow defenders in that.
Another clearance for the Cats. Danger time here as Holmes gets it, kicks long all the way to the goal line. Beautiful shepherding by Dangerfield on the line. Allows it to go through. That was absolute route one from the centre bounce. Holmes, he kicks his first of the afternoon. And Cats now have 9, and the lead is worryingly for Richmond beyond 50.
You go, Lingy.
No, a couple of things there, Bob, and you'll love it. So George Stevens, first game to fight through a tackle and get it out to Holmes. Love that. But you love that from Dangerfield. They're winning the game. They're dominating. He's the superstar. He's the captain. You know, it's all pretty fun right now. He still worked his backside off to get that shepherd on the goal line.
Yeah, I love what you point out there of the first game and breaking a tackle. That tells me so much about a young player already, just that self-belief and confidence and dare. But you're right, the selflessness of Dangerfield, just to make up his mind straight away of, no, it's not my time. What I need to do here is shepherd, and shepherd with real intensity.
He's getting away from Richmond in an awful hurry. 6 goals in this second term for Geelong. They've kicked 9 on the bounce, and their number 9 is moving them forward again. Holmes kicks inside the forward 50.
Well done, Boston.
Yeah, came across to intercept, knocked it away from Henry. And now he and Banks have got to work inside the defensive 50. Dempsey lays the tackle, and it'll be tossed back in. 40 out from the Geelong goal. Kicking to the Joel Selwood stand end here in this second term, the Cats. They kicked 3 goals in the first. They've got 6 goals, 5 so far in this second term. We've got plenty of time to go. Blitzarve slaps it out in ruck. It's going to be a free kick to the Richmond captain, Toby Nankervis, who swings it across the defensive 50 to find Broad.
It bounces into his lap eventually. Broad has an option defensively and then got caught by Dangerfield. The umpire in the middle of the ground has paid holding the ball, and the umpire 20 metres away didn't.
Did he though?
Yeah,
they all stopped.
Are the players making the calls down here, Lingy?
Dangerfield kicks to the pocket. Dempsey was the big flyer.
Call your own fouls.
Did the umpire actually call that free kick?
No.
Because I didn't see it.
The umpire in the middle did.
Oh, the umpire. Okay, I thought you referred to the schoolyard and the Year 9s playing with the Grade 4s. That's how they umpire at lunchtime.
Yeah, the umpire standing 85 metres away in the middle of Cardinia Park paid that, and the guy 20 metres away didn't. Ball in, right forward pocket, Neil.
There's another one.
Off the ball, free kick, and it's going to the first game, though. George Stevens.
One? Barry Stoneham called that, did he? Interesting.
And the crowd shows their appreciation as he's got a chance for his first goal in AFL footy.
Oh, the nerves are pumping though now. Yeah, he's feeling every bit of it.
And Tom Stewart's run about 40 metres to tell him just to
everyone he's ever met is watching this.
In he comes.
Get in there.
Oh, it never looked like missing. How's the celebration as well? As if they needed more energy, the Cats. They come from everywhere. And I cannot see George Stevens for the life of me because he's got 15 teammates on top of him. And a big congratulations, George, on the big screen here at Cardinia Park too. They're having plenty of fun, the Cats. 10 goals now on the board. 10-8-68 plays 1-4-10. 24 minutes gone in the second quarter.
AFL footy is big business played by big, strong men. And someone kicks their first goal and we're just little kids, aren't we?
Yeah.
Those on the field, those watching, it brings out the inner child. And there's just something very pure and very sincere and beautiful about that moment. Good on him.
Could not agree more. Living your dream, isn't it? That thing. So good. Even Chris Scott in the coach's box, game number 350 for him. He's banging the desk.
Great.
Happy for George Stevens.
58 pick of a couple of years ago out of South Warrnambool. Did it the tough way, did his ACL in 2022. Fought back to have a good top-age season in 2023. And here he is again involved in the middle at the restart to chain the Cats forward through Holmes and Martin over to Mullen. Now back to Martin off a step. A wobbling kick inside the forward 50. Blitzarve just pushed past it by Broad. It goes all the way through to Floston on the last line. He's calm in a crisis. He looks up and spots Sonsi, who loops the handball out wide to Trainer. Of course, his family famous on this ground as well. Kicks up the line, can't hit the target. Out of play. Luke Trainer, the grandson of Doug Wade.
That's right.
So, of course, Doug Wade did a lot of his best work here. 99 games here at Kinnear Park for 413 goals, which is a reasonable strike rate from the big spearhead.
No name on the locker.
Yes.
Life's about balance.
Oh, just here.
Only 99 games here.
Oh, sorry.
Literally,
I was about to say.
yeah, so played at this venue for Doug Wade. He played a lot more than that for the Cats and, of course, for North Melbourne as well.
Nana takes the advantage up to Neil. Hint of a high tackle, but the Tigers are able to hold him up. And the umpire calls for it just wide of centre wing. Thrown up. Stanley strong in that contest. Popped off the hand of Stevens to McIntosh. He runs through the wing. Hand pass out wide to Mansell. And now to Campbell. It bounced in front of him. Just cost him that half a second. He's tackled then by Martin. Umpire waves play on. Campbell went again. Hand pass to Taranto, who blindly hand passes forward. There's a bit of a collision in back play as well. A couple of players down at the moment. Umpire waves play on. Trainer. Now the umpires stop the game. And there's real concern here for Max Holmes. I don't know who the Richmond player is who's down, but Holmes...
Yeah, Holmes is looking after him.
Yeah, he called the trainer straight away. He's quite concerned. More injury carnage for the Tigers if you're just tuning in as well. They've copped it this afternoon with Lawler going out of the game in the opening minutes with what looks like a pretty serious hamstring injury. And good to see Ford back to his feet now as well. Close with the ball. He flares it back inside defensive 50 to Stewart.
No doubt Jonty Ford have plenty of family here who made the trip down from Ballarat. Sullivan inside defensive 50 to Martin. That was really odd. He kicked it out toward Jack Henry, who clearly didn't know the ball was coming. Morris Rioli picked it off but stepped out of play in the process. That was bizarre, just a breakdown in communication out at half-back.
Ran away from it.
Yeah, just been saying how good Geelong's connection is. It's not an example that you want to look at.
It's a bit like the Wi-Fi at home. It just sort of drops out every now and then. You might have to go and reboot the router or something like that. So half-time's coming up. They'll get the chance to do so. Tigers inside the forward 50 here. Yeah. Mansell picks it up, spins on a dime and finishes brilliantly. 2 goals for Ryan Mansell. And that from 45 metres out, swivelling his hips and striking it pure. 2-4-16 to 10-8-68. It's the Cats by 52, but that is a little glimmer for Richmond. Before Bob and Lingy, let's get downstairs to Lex Pesha.
Just have to admire a moment like that from Ryan Mansell. Every time he's come to the bench, he's held his head really high, and I suppose a lot of them could drop their heads now with a margin like this. But so congratulations to him for keeping the vibes high down here.
Yeah, it was a great goal, superb movement. And just thinking from a Geelong perspective, the broken tackle was Jack Martin. He's trying to lock his spot in this team that's going to play in September, you would imagine. Just being able to, as a defender, stay on that tackle, not let it be broken. That's his next step. But superb play from Ryan Mansell.
What have you thought of him as a backman, Lingy? Because we've seen him a lot sort of forward and midfield through the rest of his
career. He's smart in finding the ball and linking up when that time's right. It's his defensive work that I'm really looking at closely. And it's even there, he's given away a free kick again here to Mansell. So he's worried with his defensive work. It's not yet at the level where he'd be playing finals right now.
It's a lovely kick by Mansell too to Bolter around underneath the footy. Oh, he had no one on him. Well done by Fall, who gathers. He snaps towards goal. It's going to fall short, and Bose is able to take the mark on his defensive goal line. Tries to flare it out quickly. He does so. Myers takes it. Now he's looking for a short option. Eventually it presents, and Neil takes the mark just shy of centre wing.
Had a few feigns at the ball, dropped then Brian Myers. He went once and twice, and then the third time he able to hit the target. Holmes now hands off to Guthrie, who's running past, kicks up the line, and Brown gets 2 fists into it and slaps it out into the terrace, where it will be thrown back into play at the junction of the 50 and the boundary. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays, Cameron Ling and Bob Murphy, our captains and experts on ABC Sport. Lex Pesce on the boundary. We are deep into the second term, half an hour gone. Cats have kicked 7 goals, 5. Richmond just the 1 goal, 2. They trail by 52. Ball inside forward 50 here at the stoppage from the Cats. Cameron had a play at it, couldn't take it with him. Body slide in, including Stevens. Ralph Smith's going to have to pick himself up out of that for Richmond. He's a little bit sore. Clearing kick is marked by Bowes for the Cats. He finds Humphreys, top of the 50. Spent it before he had it. Goes back and gets it. Chips it around the corner. Finds Close. Not the required distance. He has to keep moving. He chips it forward and finds Neal. And Shannon Neal is paid the mark. 30 out directly in front.
It wasn't Humphreys. He had already spent that. That was going about 10 rows back, straight through the big sticks in his mind.
He'd already written the match report. Seen it in tomorrow's paper.
Had to get the whiteout out in an awful hurry. And here's Shannon Neal. He's already got one this turn, kicked 1 goal 2 last time out against the Lions. 20 for the season for this young, emerging key forward prospect. Now what a prospect he is. The answer's back for Geelong, who've got 11-8 on the board. So the Tigers 2-4-16. Geelong's highest first half score against Richmond in 15 years and then some, as they keep that scoreboard motoring. Their second best first half of the year already. We are 31 minutes into this second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sports.
Talk about the difference between experienced teams and inexperienced teams, and sometimes it is that physical ability, sometimes it's the mental, and sometimes it's a combination of both. The Cats being able to turn and look inside, and there's a free player on the 50-metre line, that's unusual, and particularly if Richmond have got deep forwards about 20 metres back, they just had to sacrifice their own games to push into that defensive end to clog that area up.
From the centre square, almost another clearance for the Cats. Allen followed up at ground level, got the hand pass away eventually to Blitzarves. He then loops it out wider still to Holmes, who's on the wing, kicks inside attacking 50. Oh, great spoil in the end by Broad to get his left fist in front of Cameron, who looked like he was going to swallow another mark. And we'll have a ball in right on the juncture of 50, the 50-metre line and the boundary line. Players gather. 32 played in this second term. Thrown back in. Blitzarves won it down. Numbers on the outside though with the Tigers. Campbell, end over end kick, but it's marked by Stanley, who's stationed the kick behind play.
Let's get a good view here of the Cats, how they organise themselves and spread out and space amongst each other, and then they get easy options. They've just got to hit the kick.
Which he missed, but Humphreys did well enough, and then Stanley, this is his best rugby union impression, putting up a high ball. Luckily for the Cats, they're able to gather again. Mullen scrubs it inside 50. Cameron gathers. Hand passes to himself like in the under sevens, but couldn't get it back, unfortunately. And then out of bounds on the full from Floston. Doesn't help the Richmond cause. It'll be coming back in pretty quickly.
Mullen to do the damage. And then from Kilmaine, drops on his right boot, sends it long to the top of the goal square. Jezza! A towering mark at the top of the square as the bell rings out for half-time. 2 already. This to take him to 6.99 for his career.
Can't let that man just have a free run at the ball. Nobody on him.
No, we can almost make excuses for most of the goals in this second quarter, but that one should actually stick in their guts over the half-time break.
And Cameron misses. He's tried to kick that one down to Eastern Beach, all the way down Moorabool Street, and he's missed it away to the left-hand side from 20 metres out.
That was my fault. I'd written it in the book already.
Yeah.
My bad.
We'll send the message down there, the apology to the Geelong change rooms. 11-9-75 to 2-4-16 at the half. So it is a 59-point lead to Geelong. In that quarter, they kicked 8 goals 6, their second highest scoring quarter of the year, only beaten by the 10 goals 3 they kicked to close against Freo all the way back in their opening game of the season. 2 goals to Dangerfield, 2 goals to Cameron, 2 goals to Neal, a goal to Holmes, a goal to Close, and a goal to Bowes in the opening half for the Cats. Both of Richmond's goals to Ryan Mansell. He kicked the first of the game, and he kicked a second goal in that quarter, which was a splendid strike from about 45 metres out. It's Geelong's highest first half score against Richmond since 2010. Nice little nugget from Mitch Turner back in the studio. They kicked 24 goals that day, the Cats. Lingy, you kicked 2 behind.
Ah, damn.
That's very much...
I was looking for a pump up there.
I'm sure we'll find one. I'm sure we'll find one throughout the course of the afternoon. Of course, Gold Coast winners earlier today over Essendon. For our audience tonight, you've got so many options to choose from. Brisbane, Port Adelaide for our South Australian audience. St Kilda, Hawthorn for our Victorian, Tasmania, WA and NT listeners. You've got the cricket. You've got Wimbledon. You've got the Matildas on at the moment.
Gee,
the NRL and
that
W.
App. How good's the ABC
All on the
app?
ABC Listen app, free, and there's so many options there. The sleep timer gets an absolute run at this time of year. So the ABC Listen app is where you can find all of that. 0437774774 to join us in the call. Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy.
Joel, I think you want to continue on with that game, don't you? You were talking about in 2010.
I think we're going back to 2014, 2004 here, so against Richmond.
Okay.
When you had your career high with...
I see what's going on tonight. Lingy's handpicking the games that we should go back and have a look at. Ex-players are making decisions out here in the grandstand.
Saturday footy, name a game with Cameron Ling. Go back through the archive and order a DVD copy.
You can see it getting typed out on our screen there. Just ignore the fact I was typing away on another computer, right? They are not linked. They got nothing to do with it.
Starting to make sense down here now.
It's how the system works in this part of the world, Bob. It's just how the system works. Lingy, Bob, what have we made of the first half? It is the Cats by 59.
Well, Bob, in the first quarter, we gave credit to Richmond. Their effort was there. I think they won the contested possessions by a couple.
Yep.
They didn't quite have the class and connection to be able to kick the score, but they were working, and they were working hard. Unfortunately, in that quarter, they lost contested possession by 16, and that just dropped away, and then it was just a wave of options for the Cats.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think they're overwhelmed in that second quarter by the sheer talent of the Geelong Footy Club. But I would challenge Adam Uze and the Richmond leaders to look beyond what the scoreboard is telling them, because the game is out of reach for them, and it's looking really, really awful on there. 75-16, the Cats have 20 scoring shots to 6. But within that, I think you could put 3 or 4 down to when Richmond, basic errors, handball errors, drop chest marks, so put them to the side.
Yep.
Then there's a couple where Dangerfield or Cameron are just too good. Okay, we'll put them to the side as well. There's others, and the Jeremy Cameron mark at the end, that was kind of the biggest sort of alarm for me, so much of don't lose heart, don't lose hope. You've tried so hard, and they have continued to put themselves out there and try, but the overwhelming nature of this game is that their skill level has dropped away. But if they start thinking selfishly and about just looking after themselves, I'm not sure if I should go, this will get really, really ugly. So I think the game isn't as bad as what the scoreboard is saying for them, but they need to have a bit more of a fiery contest around the ball and then a bit more thought away from it, because the Cats are doing it easy. They spread themselves out. They have easier options because they have that, and that's what we're getting, a bit of a dominant response.
And so we often talk about defending well and holding up and just being able to weather the storm and everything like that. But if you can use the ball well enough, that can help your defence. So a good attack plays into a good defence and vice versa. You're right, if Richmond can, let's just call it break even at the contest. Not necessarily winning the contested ball, but break even in this third quarter. And then when they use the ball going forward, they can still have an element of bravery and still give a first option handball, break a line, maybe be able to find that kick on a 45-degree angle, just change the angle a little bit. And then you're right, down even in their forward end, Noel Bolter runs under a ball and drops an absolute sitter. I think it might have been Jonty Fall, drops an absolute sitter on his chest. If they can just connect with those, that takes away probably 15, 20, 25 disposals going the other way, and another entry for the Cats, and then the defenders feeling
in really basic terms, the Tigers are not getting a rest at the moment. Yeah, they're trying hard, but their ball movement is ballistic and manic. But when the Cats have it, they're able to set up. They're calm. They're in a rest state of just moving the ball around. The Tigers are defending. That's hard work. So you're always defending, and then the ball's trapped in your defensive 50. So by the time they get the ball, their fatigue is very much playing a part in how they use the ball, and it's this cycle they need to get out of. So the halftime break couldn't have come at a better time. The challenge for Adam Uze and the Richmond coaching staff is the psychology of the scoreboard. Try and put that to one side, or at least put it in context, and then reset themselves. Say, hey, we're actually not going that bad, but we need to tidy up a couple of these aspects.
Yeah, and you would have experienced this. We've all experienced it. Doesn't matter how many games you've played, how good a player you are. When you feel overwhelmed by the ball, particularly living in the opposition forward 50 and coming in quick, and there's options galore, we started to see Nick Floston make mistakes. We started to see Nathan Broad make a couple of mistakes, basic skill errors from them because of that feeling that they're getting right now. But if as a group, you're right, you can calm all that down a little bit. It is hard by explaining, hey, guys, this is what's happening. This is why you feel completely overwhelmed. At least those experienced players can maybe settle their own
that's
game down a bit.
I mean, we talked about the experienced players. That's exactly what you're saying. Of even how the senior players for Richmond carry themselves at halftime, because a lot of the younger players would feel confused. Like, hang on, our effort feels good, and our good players been pretty good. So why does it look so disastrous? You need to put it in context for them to say, hey, effort's one thing, but we need to play with more thought and strategy.
And because their GPS numbers, I guarantee you GPS numbers for Richmond, kilometres run at high speed is higher than Geelong's right now. But it's all being done defensively in chaos.
As a general rule, your all-time highest numbers on that machine were the worst days you had on the field because you were just chasing backside all day.
Pretty taxing time for the Tigers it could be here in the second half. The thoughts of our experts, Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling, 558 games between them.
3 flags as well.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
How many night flags for you, Lingy? I've got 1 to add. 0 day, 1 night. If Dermot's going to go with 5 day, 5 night, you know,
surely the qualifier
it should be fair.
Okay, all right.
0 day, 1 night. Thank you very much.
2 nighters for me then.
Oh, okay. 3 and 2. 3's got a full house.
I think he might have you, Bob. I think he might have you. 0437 774 774 to join us. It's halftime in Bunbury. The Matildas as well, 0-0 with Panama. You can get that on the ABC Listen app. Of course, the tennis, the cricket. We'll bring you all the latest there as well as everything happening in the world of sport. Is the Cats by 59 points here at halftime at Giddinia Park. Second half not too far away. It is coming your way on the other side of the latest from ABC News.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Victorian police say they're searching for at least one person following an attempted arson attack at a Melbourne synagogue last night. Around 20 people were at the East Melbourne Hebrew congregation when it was set alight. No one was injured in the incident. Acting Commander Zorka Dunstan says detectives have clear images of a man they wish to speak to.
We encourage that person to self-present to the police station. He's described as Caucasian, approximately in his mid-30s. He has a beard and long hair, and he was wearing dark clothing at the time.
US President Donald Trump says there's been a good response from Hamas to the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal with Israel. Hamas says it's given a positive response to mediators and that it's ready to enter negotiations. Trump has welcomed that in comments to reporters aboard Air Force One and says there could be a deal in the coming week.
We have to get it over with. We have to do something about Gaza. We've been doing it. You know, we're sending a lot of aid, a lot of money and a lot of aid. Otherwise, you have people in big, big trouble. But, I think it's been very positive, a good response.
Police in the US say at least 24 people have been killed by flash flooding in southern Texas, while a frantic search goes on for others missing, including more than 20 girls from a summer camp. The flooding occurred after a storm brought torrential rainfall that sent floodwaters spilling out of the Guadalupe River. Officials say more than 230 people have been rescued, most of them by helicopter. Back home, in the 6th day of deliberations in the Victorian Supreme Court trial of accused triple murderer Erin Patterson has ended without the jury reaching a verdict. It's trying to decide whether she deliberately poisoned 4 of her relatives when she served them a beef Wellington containing death cap mushrooms, leaving 3 of them dead. Her trial began in late April, and since then the jury has heard testimony from 53 witnesses, 2 weeks of closing arguments, and the judge's final directions. The jury began its deliberations last Monday, and will now return on Monday morning to continue until it reaches a unanimous verdict. A senior member of Victoria's First Peoples Assembly says people have nothing to fear from its work with the state government to cement its powers as an advisory body. The Peak Aboriginal body has been representing Indigenous people in Victoria's treaty process, and now the government says it's working on legislation to allow it to advise on certain government decisions. The proposed reform was one of the key recommendations of the Yurok Justice Commission's final report, which was tabled in Parliament this week. Assembly co-chair Ruben Berg says it will result in better outcomes for generations to come.
I think it's really important for everybody, not just the First Peoples community, but the entire Victorian community, to be able to look through the Yurok reports and look through the full impact of colonisation on First Peoples, and to recognise that that was the result of 200 years of impact for First Peoples. And you don't just turn that around overnight. So we're looking at systemic change, not quick fix change.
A 39-year-old Northern Tasmanian man has been charged with multiple firearms and drug offences. Josh Wise has more.
Police say during a search of a property at Bridgenorth on Thursday, they found 2 illegal firearms, ammunition, a stolen vehicle and a quantity of drugs. They say they made the alleged discovery when investigating reports that 2 vehicles, a grey Mitsubishi Outlander and a red Mitsubishi Mirage, had been stolen from the residence. Police say subsequent investigations led to a person of interest being identified and arrested a short time later. During the search and arrest, police alleged they found a .22 rifle, a loaded pistol, ammunition, and one of the stolen vehicles, a Mitsubishi Outlander, and a quantity of illicit drugs.
The man has been charged with multiple offences, including breaches of bail, drug and firearm offences, and resisting arrest. He was detained to appear in court at a later date. Researchers say efforts need to be made to protect zooplankton, with the tiny marine animals helping to lock away large amounts of carbon in the ocean near Antarctica. The BBC's Georgina Renard takes up the story.
The scientists analysed what happens when the group of tiny marine animals, zooplankton, depart on an epic winter migration in Antarctica. They spend spring close to the ocean surface, gorging on carbon-rich algae and making sacks of fat in their bodies. In the winter, the creatures sink hundreds of metres to sleep and slowly burn the fat. That releases the carbon in the deep ocean, locking it away for decades or even centuries.
And in AFL, Gold Coast has outplayed Essendon 115-74 at Docklands Stadium. ABC News.
Australia's Test Tour of the West Indies is on now.
What about that? Unbelievable.
Catch every ball on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the cricket button. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Manor to Dangerfield, up at half forward, lofts the kick inside the arc into space for Neil. He had a little paddle around the body, was clever, ran back onto the footy and curled it home. Shannon Neil, big men shouldn't be doing things like that. It spills the way of Jeremy Cameron, who just saunters through the defensive 50 and scoops the footy up, outlets the kick to Blitzards, and then he kept on moving, and he flares at the left half forward for Dangerfield, and Dangerfield kicks a full forward. It'll go all the way. Dangerfield finishes off. Now Dangerfield picks it up, outlet hand pass looking for Holmes, 30 from goal for Geelong, off to Manor, swings it around the corner and kicks another for the Cats. Sean Manor gets in on the act.
Another clearance for the Cats, danger time here as Holmes gets it, kicks long all the way to the goal line. Beautiful shepherding by Dangerfield on the line, allows it to go through. That was absolute route one from the centre bounce. Off the ball, free kick, and it's going to the first game, though. George Stevens. And the crowd shows their appreciation for his first goal in AFL footy. In he comes. Get in there. Oh, it never looked like missing. How's the celebration as well? As if they needed more energy, the Cats. They come from everywhere. And I cannot see George Stevens for the life of me because he's got 15 teammates on top of him.
AFL footy is big, big business played by big, strong men. And someone kicks their first goal and we're just little kids, aren't we?
Living your dream, isn't it? That thing.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at Kardinia Park. Cats running back out for the start of the second half. 11-9-75 to 2-4-16. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling the footy for you on ABC Sport. Bob Murphy, Cameron Ling, your experts. Lex Pesha is on the boundary. 2 games to come your way tonight. Brisbane and Port Adelaide for our South Australian audience. St Kilda and Hawthorn for everyone else. You can get both of them, of course, on the ABC Listen app as always. Earlier today at Docklands, it was the Suns by 41 over Essendon, 18-7, 115 to 11-8, 74. And they outscored Essendon by 38 points in the final quarter alone. Ben King kicked 4 goals to take his season tally to 42. Jeremy Cameron is now plus 8 in the Coleman medal, having kicked 2 goals to the half here today. Of course, the ABC Listen app's also got Wimbledon tonight, as well as Australia and the West Indies, day 3. Can anyone make some runs? Who knows?
Bo Webster will.
Bo Webster will make a solid 64 off 107 and just coast through. Travis Head he'll make at least 25. He's good for that. But there's some questions outside of that in the Aussie cricket camp at the moment. Of course, the NRLW starts this weekend as well. So that's on the ABC Listen app as well. And it is still 0-0 between the Matildas and Panama. You can grab that on the ABC Listen app too. So plenty of sport across the buttons of the ABC Listen app. That is for sure. Grand Prix on at Silverstone this weekend as well. Of course, the British and Irish Lions are in town too over the next couple of weeks.
Playing
the
tonight.
Tour de France starts tonight as well, Maisie, which is, there goes my sleep for the next month.
England, India.
Yes. Yeah, isn't that a bizarre test match?
Yep.
Jamie Smith just strumming 180-odd after coming in to face a hat-trick ball and crushing it for 4. So, there's sports galore at the moment, which is all kinds of fun on the ABC.
Fun for negotiations for the TV.
Yes, absolutely. If you live in a house that doesn't particularly like sport, then that's not so good.
Battle. My phone's getting a good workout.
Yeah.
On a laptop.
Can't say I've got that problem. I've got a supportive partner in that endeavour, which is absolutely lovely. Text coming through 0437 774 774. Enjoying the Ling Murphy commentary, smart and funny. Hope it is a regular gig.
Did they elaborate on who was smart and who was funny, or is it just we sort of bundled up together?
Joint effort, I think.
Okay.
Joint effort. Riley says,
I remember to see a pie chart on that.
I remember watching Lingy strut his stuff as a magnificent full forward for the Hawthorn reserves in the late 90s.
Yes.
Really?
Did you steal the socks?
No, absolutely.
It's not theft, is it?
2 games for the Hawks, 1 game for the Bombers.
Did you?
As a top age under 18.
Journey.
Yes.
Greg in Geelong says, hi guys, great call as always. If this is bringing up some past trauma for you, Bob, in terms of being here at Kardinia Park, get Linger to take you to the roast place across the road and build up some happy memories.
Ripper roast. You never been there, Bob?
No.
Bob. It's
Mate, after getting my pants pulled down out here for 10 years in a row, it was pretty keen to hit the highway.
It is an essential stop on your way home.
Okay.
Yeah. And a shout out to Andy from Wodonga as well, who's a regular listener, and he's always on the text. I think he got his numbers mixed up today, and he was sending his earlier text to the NRL text line and wasn't getting a lot of love. So, Andy, it's good to have you with us. And just a reminder, 0437 774 774 is the number to join us here at Kardinia Park. Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling are your experts. And the second half is underway. It is Geelong 11-9-75, Richmond 2-4-16. Here's Andrew Mays on ABC Sport.
Taranto and Hopper going to battle again for the Tigers. Hopper got it to Nankervis, back to Taranto. Then they feed it further back to Blight, who goes wide with his kick. Bounces in front of Mansell, who just trapped it from going out of bounds. Fed it back to Prestio, tried to get around Holmes, and that was not happening, so he was happy at the boundary line to help him over and force a boundary throw in.
We see that paid sometimes.
Yeah.
A little step over the line, trying to avoid getting caught holding the ball.
And Max Holmes very smartly was already taking about 5 or 6 steps backward, thinking he had the free, trying to convince the umpire. Thrown back into play. No clearance as of yet. McIntosh waiting for the hand pass. Just had a fumble, went to ground. Stanley almost ended up on the end of it. Couldn't quite. Now it's going to be paid deliberate. Oh, well, the hand pass missed him. And granted, it missed him by a couple of metres. But, jeez. Insufficient intent. I'm not sure the intent was to The intent was more to keep it alive to get it to Reece Stanley. Anyway, there you go. Ball pumped back by the Tigers, over centre wing. Mansell there to Rove again. He just blindly kicks it forward. Oh, bounces on its point, away from Stewart, who was actually in an acre of space. Gave everyone else time to catch up, but he was too good at ground level. Able to mop up. Hand pass to Atkins, and now to Holmes. Holmes kicks long, beyond the wing. Oh, good mark by Trainer. Couple of grabs on the way down, and he secures the footy for the Tigers.
Goes back to Blight, who's also out there in the orange boots. Now to Banks. It's been a great find coming off half-back. Tasmanian.
I don't mind this from the Tigers. This is doing what Geelong has been doing to them in the second quarter in particular, just moving them around, making them defend.
And now Broad got it to Floston, kicks into the centre of the ground. Taranto had it poked away by Dangerfield. Paddy's back onto the footy, almost got run down by Rioli. Slips the tackle, takes a bounce, kicks it out to right half forward. It'll sit awkwardly for Cameron. Broad and Floston across to provide the double team, but Cameron pokes it inside the forward 50. Now it squirts out the back. 40 out from the Geelong goal. Ollie Henry gave it up to Prestia, then applies pressure on the exiting kick. It'll spill the way of Holmes. 22 touches, most on the ground. This one a hand pass back to O'Connor. He kicks to full forward. Dempsey in from the back. McIntosh, the better of the headbanded duo on that occasion, takes the mark and releases for Richmond.
That's where they've got to go with speed now. Got to break. Got to put speed on the game.
Goes back inside, Trainer, and then a bit of a scuffed kick into the middle. It's going to be a turnover ball. Atkins gathers, and now to Martin, who goes very high to the top of the square. It's a 2-on-1 in favour of the Tigers. Cameron ran interference, and then coming in for late support was Blitzer. So he's wrapped up. We'll have a ball up about 30 metres out directly in front for Geelong. 75 plays 16. Opening stages of the third term.
Someone texting in saying, I was just driving past Ripper Rose. Thanks for the tip, Lingy. So dinner sorted courtesy of Cameron Ling. That's what we do for you here on ABC Sport. Clearing kick for the Tigers. Ends up with Holmes again. Handball to O'Connor. Took on the tackles. Ran into a wall. Caught holding the ball.
A good few moments here for Richmond. Just winning that ball back. Now they're going to be bold with their kicking, but
Banks is very bold.
Nicely played.
It's an audacious kick across the corridor, and it's marked by Mansell. He's frustrated because he didn't see anything up ahead that he liked. Now he moves it to the edge of the 50. Humphreys stands in front, led Campbell to the footy and took an easy intercept mark. Cats by 59, 4 gone. Third term Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Just when their composure drops away, they're just in a bit of a hurry to get that ball to a contest too soon. Options are opening up for them late, and if they do just wait that little bit longer, they can make Geelong defend that little bit longer.
Off to Guthrie and now to Holmes. Holmes goes straight through the middle to Dangerfield, off to Atkins, and then straight up the middle onto the chest of Cameron, who can line up 50 out, slight angle to the left.
So that passage of play there is when we try and describe about changing the angles. If Geelong had kept coming down this side of the ground, Richmond had covered it pretty well. But I think it was Tom Stewart took the ball back out to Graham Myers, who then changed the angle again. Defenders are completely lost when teams are able to move it like that.
Jeremy Cameron missed one before the halftime break. He would have normally kicked in his sleep. This one across the face for one behind. He has 2 goals, 3 for the afternoon, so a little inaccurate. 11-10-76, plays 2-4-16.
Tigers bring it back in. Taranto marks the back edge of the centre square, sprawling forward to pull it in off the turf. 20th disposal for Tim Taranto. Chip short to Banks, who's been busy to start this third term. Sends it out wide by foot to Mansell. Loops the hand pass over the top to the run of Trainer. Just got pushed as he kicked.
See, that's a push in the back, though.
Yeah, drilled it straight to Henry. Didn't look like a legitimate attempt to tackle. Dempsey just gave him a fair old shove, and kick probably only went 12 metres, and Jack Henry has paid the mark. Kicks up the line. Stanley rips it out of the air in front of Miller. Plays on immediately by hand to Myers. Carves the kick infield to Neal. Now to Stevens. Cruising through. The first gamer sees Jezza in the goal square. And Cameron Marks wheels around, kicks his third, and number 699 in his career. First of the second half goes to Geelong. 12-10-82, Richmond 2-4-16. The margin at the 6-minute mark of the third is 66 points.
Reece Stanley's willingness, it was a good contested mark.
Yeah.
To give that little handball to Brian Myers flying past, opened up the game completely.
Brian Myers strikes me as a loud caller of the footy.
Yes.
And I like it. When you kick the ball as well as Brian Myers does, that's a good thing. And Reece Stanley, it was like, it just completely injected energy into the game.
Righto, dob on it. Who was number one from the Doggies?
Jack McRae.
Ah, the big voice.
Couldn't get boo out of him anywhere else. But if he was anywhere within gooey of the footy.
Back in the middle. Holmes sharks the tap and then snaps inside attacking 50. Big collision. No mark taken. Vlosten gets to his feet. He turns tackler on Stanley. He got another hand pass away to Myers, who links up. He was looking for the 1-2, didn't get it back. Gave it to Stevens instead, who goes for his second. Hits the post. Unlucky. 1-1 for the debutant this afternoon. 12 goals, 11 now. The Cats, 2-4 the Tigers. We've played 7 minutes third term.
Is it like wicket keepers? Is there a type that are loud callers?
Oh, look, I don't want to name and shame, but there are some players that call loudly for the ball. I'm not sure if they should be. Paul Gimattina, I don't know. If it was Paul Hudson, maybe.
It's Noah Bolter on the outer side.
What is it with Paul's?
I don't know.
My first thought was Paul Chapman.
Evening to all the Pauls out there. Maybe it's a Paul thing. Is Campbell at right half forward for Richmond as they chain it up the ground. Kick was smothered by Humphreys, then dragged back underneath is Guthrie in a tackle. 55 out from the Tigers' goal.
Mind you, Chappie's argument was, well, when you're as good a kick as me, why wouldn't you want it in my hands? It's hard to argue with him sometimes.
Fairly solid. The star he was. Ball tossed up. Tigers across the half-forward line. Dempsey at the stoppage for Geelong. Handball back into traffic. And Curvis put her into reverse, straight into Stevens. Then Dempsey ripped it out of there, toe-poked it forward to Brian Myers. The Cats release. Here's Manor, infield kick, a good one. Finds Ollie Henry in the middle.
He turns and goes straight away. Blasts long over the head of Cameron. Didn't give him much chance there.
Strange kick.
Cameron gives away the free kick.
Cameron had an 8-10 metre break on his opponent on the lead.
Kick it anywhere but behind him. And that's exactly what he got.
I reckon he's hurt himself too, Cameron. A knock to the shin.
Shin corky.
Ball now with Blight. Left back pocket. Big man Blight too. We were talking about that pre-match. He kicks long as far as he can. It's quite a high ball too to left half back. Vlosten stood tall underneath it. Just spilled it at the last moment. At ground level, Bowes gets it out to Jack Henry, who kicks inside attacking 50. Was Cameron being held? Ump said play on. Broad gets it. He's taken in a tackle. Just got his hair passed away, intercepted by Cameron. And not before it is spilled over the boundary line and out of bounds. Right forward pocket for the Cats, who are still dominating this game, even in the opening exchanges of this second half.
Matildas up 1-0. Panama up 1-0 over the Matildas in Bunbury in that game. You can get it on the ABC Listen app. Australian women's football team. Ralph Smith from inside defensive 50 for the Tigers. Blast them out of there. Jack Henry met it at pace. It's built to Campbell. Handball over the top to Tom Sims. The big fella off and galloping down the broadcast wing. Puts it into the path of Bolter. How does it sit for him? Bolter goes to ground inside the forward 50. Stands up in the tackle. Caught. Dropped it. Umpire says he got a hand to it. Now Bowes is caught with the footy. Handball to O'Sullivan for the Cats. He's thrown into the turf by Sims. The umpire says mine, 55 metres out from the Richmond goal. Left half forward. It was an interesting method of disposal from Noah Bolter. That's definitely not a handball.
No.
Having a look at the replay. And if it was behind someone else's back, he did very, very well. And he's got very flexible elbows. Jonty Fall from the stoppage. Kicks it a mile in the air. It's an absolute rainmaker. Pack falls at their feet. Martin's over the top of it and will have a ball up. 40 metres out from the Richmond goal. The Cats by 67. 10 gone third term. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays, Cameron Link, Bob Murphy and Lex Pesce, your call team.
Blitzards having a run in the ruck. Myers, hand pass to Guthrie, then to Bowes. Lovely dummy. He's going to go back to Myers and bought himself a lot of time with the kick. He's looking for Ollie Henry further up the park, who did extremely well to wriggle his way out of a tackle. Then a looping hand pass inboard is good to Holmes, who was looking for someone faster than him. Couldn't really find any. Wasn't a great hand pass to Mullen. Now off to Myers, inside 50 with the hand pass, and Close is taken in a tackle and dispossessed. Well done by Miller. He goes wide. This mark needs to stick, and it does for Bolter. There's not a lot ahead, although he can roost. He's going to go from 60. No, he doesn't. He tried the pass instead to hit the ankles of Tom Stewart, who taps it back inboard and gets it to O'Sullivan. A little bit crass was Bolter, and he gives away the free kick as he slid in.
Gee, looking at the replay, that could have been nasty. Stewart's fine and up and moving, but
crowd didn't like it on the outside.
That could have really hurt him. His head was over the ball and just barreled through.
So the Cats just poking around inside the defensive 50. Some nervous moments there. O'Connor to Martin to Humphreys, and now back to Martin. Slices the kick up the middle of the ground to Stevens. And here's Grind Myers, always so active and buzzing around. Handball off to Guthrie. Kicks to the edge of the 50 for Cameron, who marks 47 metres out. Better than a 45-degree angle to the right. This for career goal 700.
Nathan Broad and Nick Floston, those experienced defenders, they are just thinking, what the hell do you want us to do? The ball is slicing through the middle of the ground with zero pressure right now.
We're talking about changing angles. That didn't change an angle. That just went straight up through the middle. No chance for the Tigers defenders there.
Coleman medalist, premiership player. Such a growing list of accolades in the game. That won't be the milestone kick. So he's officially listed as 3 goals 5 today, Jeremy Cameron, from his 14 kicks. And the Tigers lead this by 68 points. 13 gone, third term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Could have put the Coleman medal away tonight.
If we know anything about full forwards, they know exactly where the Coleman count is at.
Boston with the kick in to Blight. Get another pretty high ball around the outer side. Well, no one really attacked it except for Sims, who takes the mark uncontested. Right half back. Goes back inboard to Blight. A little bit of loft on that one, but it's okay. Blight takes the mark, and then he goes towards Broad, who's not the first player to shield his eyes from the lights tonight. He chips it over the top to Miller, who takes it. Broad kept on running. He's receiving the handball and then kicking inboard. This is the money kick. Fall attacked it really nicely. Crashed the pack. Ross gets it. Now to Prestia. Strange hand pass. Finds its way to Taranto. Player out on the outer side is McIntosh. He takes the mark right on the paint of 50. Thought about going quickly. Goes wider still inside 50. Mark taken by Mansell, and he can line up for his third tonight.
Well, he's kicked it well tonight, Mansell, so this might be the easiest shot that he's had, and he's kicked 2 already. Not to say that it's an easy shot by any stretch, but he's shown a level of class for the Tigers tonight.
Not with the level of advice you get from the Geelong fans in that particular pocket.
Robust feedback is what it would be called in an email.
So 14 minutes gone in this third term. This will be their first score of the third term, and it is a lovely kick. Mansell has 3, and he's been a nice shining light for these Tiger Cubs up forward this evening. 3 on the board. The Tigers have 3. 3-4-22 plays 12-12-84. 14 gone, third quarter.
Continues to show plenty, does Ryan Mansell, as he builds his career now up to 66 games. We all know where he's from, and there's this particular team coming in a couple of years' time. I reckon that would be one little circle that Brendan Gale and his crew would have around him, saying, let's just have a conversation at some stage, and maybe his manager maybe just sign a contract that doesn't put you too far into the future at Richmond.
Oh, they're all very savvy these days.
25-year-old Ryan Mansell, so he's got plenty of good footy ahead of him. 10 goals on the season. Seeing a replay of the Bolter bump on Stewart.
If he got him more in the head, that's multiple weeks on the sidelines.
Not a lot of nuance to Noah Bolter, is there? Raw brawn. A bit like you and I, Lee.
Sims with a free kick out of the middle for Richmond. He's turned it over to Guthrie. Handball to Bowes, who was the late inclusion for Bailey Smith. No Smith, no Stengel out there for Geelong tonight. Ball slapped out of play on the boundary line. It'll be thrown back in. 0437 774 774. to join us. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling the footy for you. Alex Pesce's on the boundary. Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy are your experts. 558 games between them, and what did we decide? 3-day, 3-night premierships.
Yep. Don't forget the Knights.
He's Hopper at ground level for the Tigers. Off to Sonsi, dashing through the centre is Banks now. Handball off to Traynor. They have looped it wide and kept it moving. Now is the finishing kick there for McIntosh. It is absolutely not. It's out of bounds on the full. There was no one within 20 metres of it.
I just loved how deliberate his approach was there, Camden McIntosh, but it had no real thought to it at all.
And up to that point, it was the perfect line.
Yeah, it looked great. It looked incredible. We just we were player short for the Tigers.
That's what it's like watching Carlton.
Jeez. It was formation flying with a crash landing, that play.
Yeah, Geelong move it quickly again. Guthrie has it in the middle, off to Mullen. They can get going as Atkins is running on the outside. He hand passes to Myers, who has 20 metres of space. This is like training through the middle, just pulls his kick at the last moment and close. Marks on his chest, and he'll kick from about 48 out directly in front.
Unfortunately, that is the perfect description. That was like training. That was far too easy. They had options everywhere, and in the end, Grant Myers almost stuttered and made a mistake because of so many options to kick the ball to.
So in comes Close. Kick from 47, got pretty close to the man on the mark. In fact, so close, he's put it out of bounds on the full. No score at all. Margin stays at 62 points in favour of the Cats. 17 played third term. Fair to say it hasn't been...
Have another shot, though, Brad.
Reels.
So turned over straight, too close. And now to Bowes, who waltzes into an open goal. Jack Bowes kicks his second. The turnover comes back to haunt the Tigers off the kick-in. And Geelong go ever further ahead. 13-12-90 to Richmond. 3-4-22. 18 gone third term. That margin 68 points on ABC Sport. This is Saturday footy.
It's a mismatch, isn't it? We talked about it before the game. We knew it. I knew it as I was driving down the highway. We've got the champs in the Cats, who've been the team of the modern era. We've got Richmond, of course, and they could maybe equal claims to being, team of the modern era, but they're totally different phases. But the last minute is probably the first time where I've thought, are the Tigers' hearts still in it for now?
Yeah.
There's still a reasonable length amount of time left in this game. I think their effort has been good up until this point, but you would hate to see them fall away and lose belief in the contest.
Back in the middle, Stanley didn't quite win the tap out. Holmes is able to rove, snaps towards the top of 50, bounces over everyone's head. Dangerfield knocks it further afield, inside attacking 50. Broad's there to mop up. Long looping handball is okay to McIntosh, who turns it over. It's coming straight back. Guthrie kicks inside 50 to Close, who'll get another shot at goal.
Zach Guthrie has been absolutely dominant tonight. I know the numbers will say Holmes has had more of the footy. Grant Myers has been incredibly dominant as well. I must throw his name in there. But Zach Guthrie has just mopped everything up.
Yep.
Not a false note is there.
So Close runs around, left forward pocket, and this one is good. He has his second of the evening. The Cats now have 14. 14-12-96, plays 3-4-22. And this could get quite ugly for the Tigers as the Cats are asserting their authority in this third term.
And unfortunately that ugliness comes from that sense of helplessness, so that they can't even win the ball around the contest now. And then when they do occasionally get it back, they're giving it straight back to Geelong. So you've got players there just saying, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
Where do I go? What's the point of running to attack? I just know I'm going to get caught out. And then it all completely breaks down.
Well, at this point, it feels like it is hopeless, so everything's going wrong. So if you're Richmond, what are you doing? You've got to set yourselves up to win a little bit. So I would reduce it into two categories, and I could be way off, but the contested ball numbers, let's level it up in there, and uncontested marks. No easy ones. Make it a contest spoil and make it a little bit messy, and then see if we can get our hands on the ball as a result.
Those uncontested marks massively in favour of Geelong, 78-46 so far in the game. from the restart. Dempsey chips the Cats forward up toward Blitzards, who was operating at true centre-half forward. Stevens just kept the legs moving on Deboo. Got it off to Manor. Manor off to close. He's smelling a third. Hands it off to Cameron. Jezza goes around the corner and brings up 700 in style. In the inimitable fashion of Jeremy Cameron, he becomes the 27th player to reach 700 goals. And what a talent he is. 700 goals for Cameron. And you get the sense he's got plenty more to come. 15-12, 102. Richmond 3-4, 22. 4 for Cameron tonight. Let's get downstairs to Lex Pesce on the boundary.
And with that, a very deserving standing ovation as well. Footy fans are great.
Yeah, they love that. I love the fact Brad Close probably has every right to have a shot there, but he's such a selfless player, and he knew that Jeremy Cameron was around about the milestone. He'd know it. Brad's a very smart footballing person. Just gave off that handball and said, there you go, mate. Slot one and bring the crowd up and about.
And claps the entire stand as they give him a rousing reception as he goes back to full forward. Now the Tigers in possession through Prestia. Tries to shrug one tackle, couldn't do so. Held up at centre-half back. We'll have a ball up inside the centre square.
So just a bit of the accounting on Jeremy Cameron. So 273 of those goals at Geelong. It's his 99th game for the Cats tonight. And he's the leading goal kicker among current players with his 700.
Dempsey, hand pass to Atkins, and now to Martin, who loads up inside 50. It's over the head of a couple. And the Tigers have numbers at the back. Sonsi comes out wide to Campbell, and now to Mansell. Mansell looking inboard. Still bereft of options at the moment. There's plenty of blue and white hoops in front of him. Pulls the kick at the last moment. He spotted Bolter and Guthrie, or it was Stewart that time. Guthrie just behind this, and he'll gather it in the end. Gets the hand pass away, and now they're away through Martin, who takes a bounce, looking for the looping handball over to Holmes, who just pushed the accelerator. Got past a couple. Ugly snap inside 50. Richmond able to get numbers there. Vlaston kicks it out wide, and Sonsi has it.
That's like in a video game, Max Holmes, where you hold down the turbo button and away he goes. Just hold down the left trigger, and Max Holmes goes flying through the middle of the ground. Tigers with a chance up toward half forward here. Here's big Tommy Sims out on the lead. He's marked right on the paint of the arc at right half forward.
But can he find another mark? Unless he's a booming kick, which he may well be, given his size, but there's just no other real options inside forward 50 other than to pop it to the top of the goal square. But why not have a shot, I suppose?
7th game for the man from Montmorency via Wallen. 54 metres out, sends it to the top of the square, and Connor O'Sullivan bashes it through with his right fist. 3-5-23 Richmond. Geelong 15-12, 102. They lead by 79 points. 24 minutes played, third term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Long kick out, comes away of Dangerfield. Just went at it with the one hand in the end. McIntosh able to slap it to the advantage of Prestia. Hand pass is okay to Brown. Brown short kick. O'Sullivan. Strong fist over the top. Granted, he had the mismatch there on Campbell, but that was solid. Killed that contest.
They're pretty excited about him, as you could imagine. A great size, 198 centimetres, but just reads the play really well.
Got some nice power, doesn't he?
Yeah. De Koning out injured too, so getting plenty of opportunity this season. From the stoppage, Campbell feeds it back to Traynor. His kick smothered going inside 50. Bounced over the head of Myers, who turned tackler. Might have got his opponent high. Umpire said play on. Nankervis got through a tackle. Spotted Rioli out the corner of his eye. And that's a wonderful mark after some wonderful vision from the ruckman.
He's had a couple of little moments, Maurice Rioli.
Yes.
He's just stayed in the game. That was a good mark because he was under pressure from Lawson Humphreys. That chase down tackle early on in the game.
He's looked lively.
Yeah, so he's come on as a sub, got into the game early, unfortunately, because Sammy Lawler got injured very early on in the game. But that's all you got to do. Once you get that opportunity, make sure you keep putting your name in front of the coach and saying, hey, next week, I want to be in the starting 22.
Spins the footy a couple of times, Maurice Rioli. Only one goal kicker tonight so far for the Tigers. Mansell has all three. What about this for Morris? He kicks it beautifully. And he has his first of the evening And Richmond get their fourth. 15-12, 102 the Cats to the Tigers 4-5-29. Approaching the 26-minute mark in this third quarter on ABC Sport.
Let's not forget the lovely right foot pass by the Richmond skipper Toby Nankervis there, who's had a serviceable night. You can almost hear the exasperated deep breath every time the Geelong Cats rotate their ruckman on him. Reece Stanley, Mark Blitzars, probably two of the more athletic ruck in the competition. Every now and then you see Big Nank just go, okay, excellent. Chase Blitz around for the next 8 or 9 minutes. Oh, okay. Reece is fresh. Excellent. No worries. Got a corked hip to go with that. So we've got a nice reward there.
He'll work out a way to accidentally fall on that at some stage, though.
Yeah. He's a master of the dark arts, I think.
Fourth season as captain. He's Nankervis. He's into the middle, just showing a little bit of a burst and fleet of foot as he sidesteps and kicks to the edge of the 50. Campbell in the contest for the Tigers. Couldn't take it. Dempsey there for Geelong. Toe pokes it back into the middle of the ground. Hopper scurries after it. Back to Big Nank. This time the left foot little drop-off kick. What about the skills from Big Nank?
It's not
Johnson's
that hard,
ball
boys.
had it drop into his lap, 45 from home.
Nank the mid.
Looks more like Matty Knights in the last couple of minutes than a big lumbering ruckman. Nank, nice.
Here's Johnsy Fall, who hasn't kicked one in his last 3 outings. He's 0 goal 5 from his last 3, 4 goals 11 on the season. Young forward from the Redan Lions. First year at Richmond. So much to like about the way he goes about his footy. From just inside the 50, strikes it with the right boot. It's an awful looking kick and it just sneaks in for a minor score to the left. Tigers 30, Cats 102. 72 points the margin, 27 gone on ABC Sport in the third quarter.
He just at the last second, John Defoe, he does it all the time. He just throws the ball out a little bit with his drop and then chases it with his kick.
Yep, goes for that little bit of extra oomph.
Yep. What's happened here?
Now, well, there was a late call because I reckon the non-officiating umpire paid the free kick but just expected the officiating umpire to pay it. He never did, so he blew his whistle very late. So O'Connor ends up with it.
Four umpires at work again.
Yeah.
What was it that time?
Long kick up and now Atkins is away. He can go inside attacking 50. Instead he hand passes out wide to Dempsey, who takes a bounce, goes the snap and misses. Jeez, quite sure why he didn't go the drop punt there, but he misses to the near side. 15-13, plays 4-6, 28 played third quarter.
It's a snap generation.
I'm all for those who practice it with their set shots. I think that's
on
just
the
a
run.
drop punt there.
Long kick in from fullback from Flostone, straight down the throat of Martin, now at his third club. Employed in defence for the Cats. He's got it 65 from home. Where's the set-up kick? Who's on the end of it? Floats all the way out the back. Bowes ricochets off his boot to Brown of Richmond. Now to Sonsi, Floston and Campbell. The busy Tasmanian takes the mark in front of the scoreboard as we get to three-quarter time. And the Tigers able to grow the Cats, I should say, able to grow their advantage in that third term. They led by 59 at the half. They lead by 73 with a quarter to go here at Kinnear Park. It's Geelong 15-13, 103, having kicked 4 goals, 4 in that term to the Tigers 4-6-30. Richmond's best quarter of the game so far with 2 goals to match the 2 that they had at half-time. Goal kickers for Geelong. Jeremy Cameron kicked his 700th in that quarter. He's got 52 for the season. 4 goals, 5 on the evening for Jezza. 2 goals to Close, 2 goals to Bowes, 2 goals to Dangerfield, 2 goals to Neal, singles to Stevens, to Manor and to Holmes. For the Tigers, Mansell's got 3, Rioli's got 1. They lost Sam Lawler in the opening minutes. They've had players hobbling throughout, and now Hugo Ralphsmith has been removed from the game as well. So they'll be down another number on the bench. Will this Richmond Tigers team in the last term. It is Geelong by 73 points. 2 games coming your way later tonight, Brisbane and Port Adelaide. We'll get a preview of St Kilda and Hawthorn next as well. A big night of footy coming your way. It is all coming up here on ABC Sport.
First gig, favourite party tune. Every Aussie song comes with a memory. And on July 26, Triple J and Double J will be counting them down.
Hottest 100 of Australian songs.
Vote for yours now at abc.net.au/Triple J.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Plays on immediately by hand to Myers. Carves the kick infield to Neil. Now to Stevens. Cruising through. The first gamer sees Jezza in the goal square. And Cameron Marks wheels around, kicks his third, and number 699 in his career. First of the second half goes to Geelong.
Player out on the outer side is McIntosh. He takes the mark right on the paint of 50. Thought about going quickly. Goes wider still inside 50. Mark taken by Mansell. He can line up for his third tonight. 14 minutes gone in this third term. This will be their first score of the third term, and it is a lovely kick. Mansell has 3.
So turned over straight, too close. And now to Bowes, who waltzes into an open goal. Jack Bowes kicks his second. The turnover comes back to haunt the Tigers off the kick-in.
Guthrie kicks inside 50 to Close, who'll get another shot at goal. So Close runs around, left forward pocket, and this one is good. He has his second of the evening. The Cats now have 14.
True centre-half forward. Stevens just kept the legs moving on debut. Got it off to Manor. Manor off to Close. He's smelling a third. Hands it off to Cameron. Jezza goes around the corner and brings up 700 in style. In the inimitable fashion of Jeremy Cameron, he becomes the 27th player to reach 700 goals. And what a talent he is.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
That was the moment that brought Cats fans to their feet in that third term. They lead by 73 points as we turn for home over Richmond. 15-13, 103 to 4-6-30. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays calling the footy for you. Lex Pesce is downstairs. Cameron Ling and Bob Murphy with their thoughts very shortly. 2 games coming your way tonight. Brisbane and Port Adelaide up at the Gabba for our South Australian audience. Meanwhile, St Kilda host Hawthorn as well at Docklands, which is an interesting clash. There to preview that one for us is Matt Clinch. Hello, Clinchy.
Hello, Joel. The Hawks look to zero in on a top 4 finish as they take on the Saints in the second of 2 fixtures at Docklands on a Saturday. The Suns defeated the Bombers by 41 points, roughly 4 hours before tonight's opening bounce. Hawthorn had an 85-point win last week against the Kangaroos and have won their last 3 on the trot. And Josh Battle plays against his former side for the first time, while Marbiel Chol celebrates his 100th game off the back of 5 goals last week, alongside the evergreen Jack Gunston, who booted a career-best 7 goals. The Hawks are one of 7 sides locked on 10 wins, and from 3rd to 9th, separated by only percentage to tonight, is a crucial clash for them. Well, the Saints have won just 2 of their last 11, and they've been against the Fremantle Dockers and the Demons, going down last week by 12 points in the West. Dan Butler celebrates his 150th game tonight. Of course, these 2 sides play for the Blue Ribbon Cup, which is one of the AFL's longest standing traditions, and honours the courage and sacrifice of all the Victorian police officers. So the Saints and the Hawks, looking forward to see which cult hero stands up, whether it's the Flying Viking in Alex Taru or the Wizard in Nick Watson. A couple of the storylines tonight alongside Lauren Borden to call the action with Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke, and Marnie Vinyl down on the boundary.
Good on you, Clinchy. Look forward to hearing from your crew throughout the night. And, of course, Brisbane, Port Adelaide also available for our South Australian audience. So that game coming your way will give you the teams and any late changes for those 2 games as we get closer toward the bounce. It is Geelong, 73-point leaders over Richmond at three-quarter time. 15-13, 103 to 4-6-30. Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling are your experts. And it's been 2 goals in that third term at least for the Tigers. So a little bit of reward on the scoreboard, Bob, but it's been a difficult evening so far.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's probably gone to a predictable script that, the Tigers have shown some appetite and some dare to varying degrees. Definitely started well. And then the system and talent and the experience of the Cats has just been overwhelming for them. In terms of numbers, if I was down at the Tigers and one of the leaders and trying to give a message to their young players at the moment, don't look at the scoreboard. There'd be two sets of numbers that I would focus on in this last quarter. One would be the uncontested marks. The Cats are up to 80, so they're on track for 100 for the evening. Keep them under 100. Focus on that. And then contested possession, they're down by 10. Let's see if you can hold that number until the end of the game and build on that for next week.
So challenges ahead of Richmond here in this final term. There's always opportunity to try and take something out of games like this. Patrick Dangerfield thought he was going to get a free kick out of the middle. It's instead going to Max Holmes, who's had 27 disposals. His 28th is a long kick inside the forward 50. Henry nudged under it by Brown. Tigers out the back through Sonsi. Little kick around the body to Bang. Stanley came across and knocked it out of his hands.
Just those little details, like it ends up almost being an uncontested mark for the Tigers. They're dropped, and then you're under pressure, and now you're stuck in deep D50. So if it takes that mark cleanly, there's a chance to relaunch and get the Cats offside.
Short kick to Miller. His kick hangs a little while in the air, and Henry gives away the free kick as Trainer was up. Henry kicked inside, attacking 50. Manor took the mark, but it is a free kick for the Tiger defender, who puts it a little too wide of Loston, although he was able to run onto it in the end, kept it inside. Then hand pass to Taranto on the wing, who goes back to Mansell, still outside him. Back to Taranto by hand. They've worked this nicely, the Tigers. Now Rioli. Here's the money kick, and it's a good one too. Nice vision. And he finds Ross, who is 51 from goal.
Happy to have the ball in the hands of Maurice Rioli. Good decision maker, good skills. And they held their nerve well there because Geelong were coming with some pressure. Tom Atkins was trying to chase from behind, had some frontal pressure, but they did have the overlap. They eventually got that free player who was able to kick with a bit of time and space in Rioli, and he found his target well.
So this will take his absolute best. He starts his approach from the centre square, kicks from 54. It's going to come back a long way, not quite enough. Just had the distance. 15-13, 103. Plays 4-7-31. Margin 72 points.
Keen to see how Geelong play this last quarter, where they still want to go with speed and play their normal way, or they just go into a bit of a management mode.
Still got Mitch Duncan to activate as the sub, who hasn't been used. Rioli came on in the early stage of the game for Richmond, with Sam Lawler subbed out with suspected hamstring injury, and Hugo Ralph-Smith has been removed from the game thereafter. Got a stoppage out at left half forward here for the Tigers, who kick to the Barwon River. The players stand end here in this final term. Dempsey away from the stoppage, exchanges the hand pass with Atkins. Then Atkins kicks up the line. Nice mark from Ollie Henry floating in from the side. Little chip kick into the centre of the ground for Manor, who's between the centre circles and the front edge of the square. He's got Cameron going back toward goal. In fact, it's Neil who rose, couldn't mark. Cameron's there as well. Now it's scooped up by Holmes. Little one around the body there from Stanley. Neil still just getting to his feet.
Well, I reckon because his head hit the ground, because his arms were ripped down in the marking contest and he was smashed into the turf. Bizarre decision to let that one go.
Meanwhile, Sonsi's got it at half-back for Richmond. He's going to float a kick defensively to Miller. Luckily, that one worked out.
And Miller just rifles one right up the middle to Ross, off to the running Prestia. Prestia over halfway. It's a good kick to Fall, who's got a couple of players out the back. He should hit one of them. And what about Big Nank? He takes it on his chest, and he can line up in the left forward pocket for some well-deserved reward.
Nank's got a bit of a taste for this flair now. It started with an opposite foot pass in the third quarter against the run of play, and ever since then there's been balks. There's been just sort of weaving through traffic, and now he's drifted forward. He's going to slot one through, Big Nank.
So in he comes, the captain, Toby Nankervis, kicks and delivers Richmond their fifth goal of the evening. His first. He has been a warrior tonight.
Captain's
up
goal.
Against it. Captain's goal. 15-13, 103. Plays 5-7-37. The margin back to 66 points.
You reckon he's just sending a bit of a message? Bring in another ruckman next week and I'll play as a mid.
Yeah. Who else have you got? Trevor Hendy, because I've taken Stanley and Blitzarves and I'm still pushing forward. Who you got for me next?
Toby Nankervis just been watching Luke Jackson tape.
I just saw the replay. They've just shown of Hugo Ralph-Smith in that third quarter running to the ball. He's done a left hammy.
Yep.
Bang.
On ping at the top of the defensive 50.
Yeah.
0437774774 to join us via the text line. Greg and Roz, the Isle of Skye in the Scottish Highlands, about to cook breakfast and enjoying the call. Go Cats. People listening from all around the world. From the restart, they can't be split in the middle. We'll have a stoppage. Let's go boundary side. Lex Pesce.
You are correct. Hugo Ralph-Smith is out of the game, and the club has confirmed it is a hamstring.
So hopefully there's no more casualties from a Richmond perspective, having already lost Lawler. At the stoppage, here's Nankervis again. Got it back from Traynor. The kick inside forward 50. Tried the deft pass again. Just floated it over the head of Bolter, and Jack Henry intercepts for Geelong. Goes to Stanley. Gets it back. Now goes short to Myers, who looks at him as if to say, what do you want me to do with it? I'll turn it around and kick it to Sean Managrind. That'd be an idea, and he does.
He was still having a go at him as he keeps on trotting down the field. Long kick towards the top of attacking 50. Nice set of hands there shown by Henry, who kicks inside 50. And the mark is taken by Neil low down, sliding in on his chest.
Myers was having a go, I think, at the umpire because play on was called for a kick that went 18 metres. Other times we see marks paid when it goes about 4 metres.
Yeah. I thought he was channeling his inner Paul.
No, Grind definitely has a lot of, as Bob said, a lot of loud calling.
He does. Yeah, well, it was just a hunch from me, but I'm pleased to hear that.
In comes Neil, 48 from goal. That's a lovely strike. Umpire did not have to move. And he has his third of the evening. Geelong have 16 on the board. Their first of this final term. 16-13, 109 plays, 5-7, 37. Margin creeping back out to 72 points. 6 minutes played final term.
He's a terrific example, Shannon Neal, of that patient development of a key forward. Obviously had to bide his time a little bit behind Tom Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron, but would come in for the odd game, play a little bit forward, a little bit in the ruck, but still building his craft. His set shot routine, he's been working on that to become a consistent shot for goal. So we don't need players, I'm sure all clubs love it, to be able to hit the ground and be Nick Dacos from day one.
They're the exception to the rule, aren't
they?
They ruin it for a lot of others.
It's looking good, the big forward. Let's go downstairs again to Lex.
Just on that, Jeremy Cameron in his press conference this week said it was important that he made sure Shannon Neal didn't feel like he had to beat Tom Hawkins, but I think he's doing a pretty good job of being the next best thing, maybe.
Yeah, it's a pretty handy young facsimile, that is for sure. Cats come out of the middle. Holmes to Martin. Martin's kick inside forward 50. Floston has a fresh area. Cameron runs into Banks. And he's deposited into the turf. We will have a stoppage at left half forward. Jeremy's a little bit reluctant to give the ball back to the umpire there. And he's a little bit slow just to make his way away from the stoppage. Neil trots over, going ruck against Nankervis. Manners there again for Geelong. He can't take it away. And we will have another ball up. It's the Cats by 72. 8 minutes gone, final term. Saturday footy on ABC Sports. Still 2 games to come tonight. The Lions and the Power, and the Saints and the Hawks.
Bose taken to ground in a group tackle there by a couple of Tigers, Campbell and Mansell. Tasmanian connection working hard again.
I think Jeremy Cameron is in the mode of, if you could blow the siren now, great. But if I can also kick 2 or 3 more, I'm happy with that as well.
Martin, hand pass for the Cats to Holmes and now to Myers, who kicks inside 50. Nice mark by Blight. Strong in that contest and rose higher than anyone else. Read it nicely. So Blight, the big defender for the Tigers. Long kick out of defence towards the wing. Blitzarves, let it go over the back. It actually clears everyone. O'Connor's there, and so was the boundary line. He's done his best impression of a try.
That was, come tackle me, but make sure you tackle me over the line.
Yeah. And on the actual grass, not the artificial stuff.
Yes.
More chance of a graze on the artificial. I might be projecting a little bit here.
Ball coming in on the wing.
Carpet burn almost. Ball tossed back in. Blitzarves in front. Now the Tigers through Ross. Gee, the kick was an absolute dart for Mansell, who couldn't catch it, and then he had a little bit of curve on the kick off the instep, but just couldn't swing it back inside the field of play. Jack Henry takes it from inside the defensive 50. Goes to Jack Martin. Now back to Jack Henry. Across the defensive 50 they come, Geelong again, building that footy up. 0437 774 774. Plenty of time for your text in the post-match before we send you your different ways this evening. Brisbane and Port, St Kilda, Hawthorn, your options from a footy perspective on the ABC Listen app. Martin swings it to O'Sullivan. This impressive youngster continues to do his thing. Zach Guthrie now, 22nd disposal, career high 30. A younger 50. Guthrie, and now 50. So is that Mansell who might have encroached there?
I think it was. And Bob, I think your uncontested marks goal is in a world of trouble.
We're up to 95.
So we had 15 this quarter, and we've been going
and
10 minutes.
So since 2021, Geelong are 21-3 when they get 100 or more.
Should I go down to the rooms after the game and give them a burst? Fellas, as we talked about.
I set you a goal.
I think I might have lost the players.
Here's Jack Martin. Directly in front, set shot, leans back on it and celebrates his first goal in the hoops. Third club for Jack Martin, game 155. And after two behinds last time out, he salutes as a cat for the first time. 17-13, 115 to Richmond, 5-7-37. 11 minutes gone, final term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Cameron Ling and Bob Murphy.
I know the 50-metre penalty ultimately made it very easy for Geelong, but even the build-up to that was way too easy, Bob. That was just chip. The ball wasn't going backwards and sideways. It was still moving down the ground.
It's almost like that's the end result for the previous 3.5 quarters of investment, because they just set up so well. They've made Richmond defend for so much of this night that they're just tired, and they're starting to, they're losing a little bit of heart, and the Cats are starting to just cut through them a little bit too easily.
Back in the middle, margin now 78 points in favour of the Cats. No clearance to start, and then Blitzarves is over the top of it. Just tried to shield it. Stevens came through, dragged the ball. Oh, geez, it was just about to pop free as Atkins hands it back to the umpire. Pushes Stevens onto his opponent. Nice leadership show there from the experienced one to the youngster. Now from the clearance, hand pass over the top by Sonsi. He gives it to Hopper over the top of Rioli, and Martin takes the mark, goes over the top of Close, and turnover ball. Vlosten to Presti, who works the 1-2, now can kick inside 50. Instead went the hand pass to Rioli, who just pulled the kick at the last moment, not having a shot for goal, and Humphries is able to spoil through for a rush behind. Cats by 77.
Lawson Humphries still blows my mind. Running around in the reserves in the waffle, and he just, from day one, has looked comfortable at AFL level. And even that little bit there with that spoil, brilliant.
The phenomenon isn't how some players can get to the AFL and fit the level, and some can dominate the lower level and then look completely out of place.
Cats have changed it to end-to-end in a flash, and Dangerfield drops it off into the left forward pocket. Cameron took the mark. Off to Henry. 35-metre snap is there. Unselfish from Cameron, who's got 4 goals, 5 on the evening, and thought, nah, that's enough. Ollie, you haven't kicked one. You can step up here. And again, that unselfishness from Geelong comes to the fore. Margin 83 points. 18-13, 121, 5-8-38 the Richmond Tigers.
And I know, of course, all of our listeners would understand this. I speak glowingly of Geelong because I have a real fondness for Geelong. But I love seeing that. That's an awareness by Jeremy Cameron, who knows there's one player in the Geelong forward line who hasn't quite hit his spark yet this season, and that's Ollie Henry. And just to get him going with a goal there is such brilliant awareness.
I suspect that you may be too humble to bring it up yourself, but just watching that, it reminds me of the last 25 years of Geelong teams that within the forward half has been the most unselfish club by far and away. And it is that, talk about club culture. Well, that's a small example that tells a much bigger story. People, why Geelong so good? Well, there's lots of things that go into it, but I look at that consistently over 20 years of key forwards and smaller forwards giving the ball off to one another to make each other better. It's a signature of the Geelong Footy Club.
Bob Murphy and Cameron Ling, your experts on ABC Sport this evening. Tossed up in the middle. Stanley won it down. Spinning out of there was Manor. Left foot kick forward, and it's marked nicely by Broad, who muscled Cameron underneath the foot. Not a great hand pass to Banks, who has to get it from his bootlaces. And he's able to recover, though, kick it out wide, and Flostone has it at right half back for Richmond. Geelong by 83.
Not a lot of run from the Tigers.
No. Lost it up towards the wing. Stanley and Guthrie, who came in from the side and took it at the last moment. Lovely clean set of hands. Kick over the top is good to Manor, who rifles one inside 50. Trainer read it best. Couldn't complete the mark. Tapped it to his teammate's advantage. Broad able to pick up. His hand pass put his teammate under all sorts of pressure. Now the pressure comes from the Cats forwards, who want to hold it in there. Dangerfield will get to his feet, not for the first time tonight, nor in his career, and hand the footy back to the umpire. We'll have a ball up, 40 out directly in front.
83-point Cats lead. They've got a healthy percentage boost and rocket up the table to second as a result of their work this evening. Manor kept it moving. Dempsey toe poked it forward. Cameron had a fresh area with the handball, taken away by Blight to Sonsi. Banks measured it nicely to Rioli. And impressive again, Sam Banks. And Morris Rioli, having been activated as the sub, just lofts his kick down the line. Says, catch that, Tom Sims, who then doesn't and sits on Connor O'Sullivan for good measure. And coming away with it is Stevens, the first gamer. To Cameron, who spins it in his hands in the centre square. Has all the time in the world. And then kicks a laser across the forward 50, and Neil towering inside the arc. Got the arms extended, pulled it in 40 metres from home.
Yeah, brilliant play, brilliant mark. And just baffling when Jeremy Cameron had the footy, he technically played on because he'd overstepped the mark. No one came to him. Just no pressure. And you got one of the best kicks in the game sitting there going, where am I going to pop this one?
Spinning the footy in his hands. And here's Shannon Neal lining up for his fourth of the evening. After taking the strong mark inside forward 50, can he finish his work? Drags the kick across the face to the left-hand side. 84 points is the Cats' lead. 14 goals neat. We've played 18 minutes in this final term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays, Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy and Lex Pesher with you.
Banks with the kick in. Lex downstairs shortly. Long kick towards the boundary. Big fist by Nank over the top. Rioli got it inboard and worked the 1-2. Kept on running and broke a tackle. Nice work. And then kicks it off the outside of his boot. It's a lovely pass to Mansell, who wanted to go quickly, looking for an option inside 50. Just put it to the top of the square. Humphrey's got to stand underneath and fall over the top. Takes a lovely mark. And he can go back and try and kick another for the Tigers this evening. Before he's kicked, Lex downstairs.
Mitch Duncan will have some lots of running to do after this game. Thought the Cats might use their sub, but he has not been used and doesn't look like he will be.
I've forgotten about him.
Surely in game number 305 you don't have to do the extra running.
Chris Scott might have forgotten about him.
Yes. It's a hell of a question.
In comes Jonty Fall. Couple of behinds this evening. Freeze first of the match. He kicks and kicks well. Nice goal. Well worked by Richmond. And again, Rioli, some good work finishing in a major. 18-14, 122 Geelong, 6-8-44 Richmond. We've played 18 minutes in the final quarter.
We've talked all night and sort of hinted around the fact that it's a game of opposites in terms of the two clubs that are facing each other. But just in terms of the sub, Morris Rioli, how do you prepare for this role? You think, I wonder if I'll get, a quarter, wonder. He plays a full game. He might be one of the Tigers' best tonight. Mitch Duncan on the other end hasn't played.
I've got a question for you, Bob. Without notice, I apologise.
That's okay.
If Mitch Duncan doesn't play, can he play tomorrow in the VFL?
Ooh, as in by the rules.
Yes.
I would think so.
We could do the opposite. You can play VFL and AFL.
And then double up in the AFL,
so.
But can you go the other way?
Well, I'll put a question to you. Does Mitch Duncan want to?
Nah. I know the answer to that one.
I think Jayden Short's coming back through the VFL tomorrow. Maybe Josh Gibkiss as well for the Tigers. So they're going to stick around and actually watch that game tomorrow. We'll It will be watched with a lot of interest. Out of the middle, the Cats come through. Atkins to Holmes. Neil crashed the pack, came flying over the top. No luck there. Blitzarves gets it out somehow. Stevens to Stanley. Flying shot as he was pushed is a minor score. Makes it a 79-point lead. Lex downstairs.
You guys want me to ask Mitch Duncan if he's going to play tomorrow?
Just yell out.
I can see him.
Stick your head over the corner
I'll
there.
write it on a piece of paper and I'll stick it up towards him and see what he says.
Vlosten got smashed. Good enough to get the ball away. Now Rioli has it. Right half back. Nice dummy. Now he's got himself in a little bit of a pickle. Good enough to get out of it. Hurried kick though up towards the wing. Geelong with numbers and punched away from Bolter. And out for a boundary throwing.
Just to come back to our earlier discussion as well, Ben has texted in on 0437 774 774. He's camping just north of Broken Hill, which sounds like a good time. His friend's been trying to convince him that a check side is a right foot kick spinning to the right, or left spinning to the left. But a banana was a right foot kick with a spin to the left. Has a banana not always been just another name for a check side? Can you please direct the answer to Ben?
Banana is another name for a check side. Yes.
Yep. I've never really understood what a check side is. As in, I understand the kick.
I thought it was.
Why do we call it a check side?
I thought it was just a South Australian term.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into this whole state of origin, mate, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's just the shape of the kick is a banana. Let's just leave it at that.
Just closing the other one too. Mitch Duncan can, I reckon, because Flynn Young was sub for Carlton last night and he's playing for their VFL team tonight.
Does he get a match payment for tonight?
Question.
Mitch Duncan does have 4 kids at home, all under the age of 6, so he will play tomorrow.
He ticks up the game, so he must get a match payment. Meanwhile, the Cats through Myers and Zach Guthrie sends it right to the line. And not over the behind line. It is over the boundary line, though, as it's stepped across by Jasper Alger. Have you got an answer down there, Lex, from Mitch?
No, but I've had a thought for him. Can he bargain with this and say, I don't want to do my running tonight, but I'll play part of the VFL tomorrow? Do you think he gets a choice?
Be more fun.
Okay, let me ask him. Hang on. I'll go ask him.
At least you don't have to do one of them by yourself. Ball tossed back in next to the left-hand behind post. Neil slaps it back straight out toward the boundary line where George Stevens chased after it. How have you seen his debut tonight, Lingy?
Really good, Joel. He's had the 20 disposals, 7 clearances, but I've loved the moments where he's been caught and a bit of physical pressure around him. He's still fought through, hands free, got the handball, effective handball out. He kicked that goal, which brought so much joy to everyone. I've loved his game.
Strong debut, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thrown back in, and both Ruckman palm it in front of themselves, and it bounces over for another boundary throw-in.
Who was your first game against, Liam?
Port Adelaide at the old footy park. It was a draw.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, the last quarter only went about 24 minutes, and they blew the siren.
24 minutes?
Yeah, 24, 25 maybe. Ronnie Burns passed the ball to me for my first ever goal, and it was the sheer shock of Ronnie passing the ball with him.
Ronnie, it's a lot to take in.
What a play Ronnie Burns was.
Didn't he play well down here too?
Great fella. Terrific bloke too.
It's about the 3rd stoppage in a row. I reckon every player, if you called time and said time to go home, gents, I reckon they would. Get us out of here, Joel.
I'll do what I can. Trainer chases it back toward his defensive goal. Handball to Miller for the Tigers. Now to Alger. Nice spearing kick. That's how they teach them to do it down in Warragul. It's a beautiful delivery to Rioli. Now out to Brown.
Glad you said that. I didn't want to. It would have been rude.
Brown
self-indulgent. I wanted to. I appreciate the gesture.
Mansell to Hopper. Just got to take one for the team occasionally.
I'll just scrunch up that note you handed to him.
Yeah, Lingy types them out. Bob writes them out. That's the difference. Now Broad, McIntosh. It all slows down in front of the Tigers. What's Camden McIntosh got to look at inside the 50? The 2 youngsters fall and Sims the deepest targets. He goes in that direction. Sims with a run. Almost bounced off the head of Jack Henry. Spilt to Prestia in front of it all. He had a play and missed it. And now Stewart just calmly kicks outside the defensive 50. Broad reaches over the top of Blitzarves. Close was in there for a moment. A very casual hand pass from Brian Myers because it was out of play. And it'll be thrown back in outer side of the ground. Cats 123, Tigers 44, closing in on full time here. 2 games still to come tonight. Brisbane and Port Adelaide for our South Australian audience. For most of you, it will be St Kilda and Hawthorn at Docklands.
I've got to jump in with one extra stat for George Stevens. He's had the most score involvements on the ground with 13, even ahead of Brian Myers at the moment. So that is a huge tick for his debut game.
Another stoppage here, this time at left half forward for Richmond. Umpire clears a path. Tosses it up. Stanley reaches over the top. Curvis does the work at ground level. Got it to Ross. By hand. Off to Campbell. To Hopper. And now back to Ross. One more handball to Mansell, who saw the collision coming. Oh, and kicked it while he was lying on the floor. Fair effort. He didn't find a teammate, though. Geelong come back the other way. And now they are away because Holmes has it a right half back. Takes one bounce. Sees his big name and says, I'm just going to take 3 and still jog past you. Hasn't even hit the accelerator yet. Kicks inside 50. It's a shocker. Straight to Miller, who takes an easy, uncontested mark.
It's the video game. Thanks, energy bar was on red then. He was absolutely redlining. Kick out toward Rioli. Gets it away. Brown up the line. Now fall for Richmond. Dabs it out in front of Elgar. Can't keep it in. It is out of play. Just on those 2 late games tonight, no changes, or no late changes for either side. So the subs for St Kilda, Bradley Hill, for Hawthorn, Seamus Mitchell, for Brisbane, Darcy Gardner, for Port Adelaide, Hugh Jackson. You'll get them both on the ABC Listen app. Lex downstairs.
Sammy Lawler has just appeared with the tracksuit on. He's limping. He doesn't look very happy, unfortunately.
It looks like he's trying to almost hide himself away at the moment with the full tracksuit on and the hood on.
This has been obviously an awfully dirty night for the Tigers. Maurice Rioli has been one tiny bright light.
It's only his 6th game of the season, so he hasn't seen a lot of opportunity.
He's a player.
Came out of the VFL last week and went back to ply his trade, and what a performance it's been, playing almost full game time. In the middle of the ground now for the Cats, his blitz halves. And doing as they please. Bose goes the banana, check side, boomerang, call it what you want, it wasn't real good. Turned it over, Nick Floston marks at the top of the defensive 50.
Lex downstairs.
Just over 31,000 here tonight, pretty good attendance, I'd say.
It was a lovely day in Geelong. Good to see so many of them turn out this evening, and they've been pretty happy with what they've seen as well. Broad has it at centre half back for Richmond.
I reckon a chunk of them have headed out to St Mary's Footy Club out the back where the bar's open right now.
Oh, okay. There was enough there on the way in.
Yes.
Long kick towards Rioli, who's made some space at right half forward. Kicks inboard to Mansell, and he's tried hard all night as well. He marks at 51. Has an option in the pocket. A few teammates pointing him towards there. Instead he goes more centrally. The mark is taken by Banks. He's 52 from goal. Plenty of players in front of him. He kicks wide. Mark taken by Brown. He can go the journey.
100%.
So initially he was looking for the pass, but there are plenty of players inside 50.
Did a good job of pretending he was going to pass it.
And he lays into it. Oh, geez, he had the distance. He's kicked that 7 rows back.
Loved everything about that.
58 metres out.
Looked like he wanted to pass it with a bit of purpose. We all knew he wasn't going to. He knew he wasn't going to. Got back and then thumped it.
Kick at that distance deserved the goal.
It's a cannon.
Yeah, kicked it down to the Barwon River there. He would have been keen on a goal, as you said earlier. Of course, Dad Paul played 84 games here for the Cats, and Sister Millie played 9, so the strong family connection to this part of the world from the man from Marutna. Tigers back in possession. Rioli knocks it intelligently out toward the boundary line for Sonsi to Ross. Ross loads up and goes to full forward, and O'Sullivan's across to kill it, although it was a nervous moment. It just sneaks through for a rush behind.
Do you reckon we'll ever get to a point, Bob, where we just get a little wink and a nod from someone who takes a mark and the man on the mark and says, hey, if you hold on to the ball for a whole minute, I won't come tackle you.
Let's cut a deal here.
Yeah, let's just get to the end of this one. No one gets hurt.
We can both come out a winner out of this.
Kick towards Stanley is intercepted by McIntosh. Now off to Campbell. Off to Hopper, who threaded the handball back to Banks. Off his left. Mansell attacked it with really nice pace and aggression. Back to Banks, outside attacking 50. Now the pass. It was just over the head of Rioli. Although he might have copped some treatment, he did as he was going back with a flight. Brown took the advantage and kicked the goal. Good work, Tigers. They kicked their 7th for the evening. Brown's first. That time only 25 metres out on the run. And he delivered nicely. 18-15, 123 Geelong. 7-10, 52 Richmond. 29 minutes played now in the final term.
He plays next week. Morris Rioli
no
in the 22. I mean,
absolutely.
because he's shown he can run out the whole game.
He has, he hasn't looked short of a gallop at all. He's up to 19 possessions, 79%. He's taken 9 marks. It's been good.
Been playing more midfield time as well in the VFL, so good to see him run out a game well.
Yeah, well, this quarter, I think he's starting inside the forward 50 now, but he's been up on the wing.
Looks as lively as any out there still. It's a great sign for the Tigers.
19 to goal for their VFL team against the Northern Bull Ants last week. We'll get a bit of your summary on the run over the last minute and a half here, Lingy. We're saying goodbye to you right on the siren because you've got to go and collect the kids.
I do have 3 kids attending their first game without a parent supervising. My wife's doing the Gold Coast Marathon tomorrow.
Oh, she really?
Yes.
Look out.
They haven't misbehaved.
Not that we know
to
of.
the best of our knowledge.
Not that we know of. Haven't been approached by any ground staff. Let's kick inside onto the edge of the 50 there from Stevens. Found Guthrie.
I did tell them that from the ABC commentary box you can see everything.
And if I can't see you, Santa can.
Slightly foreboding, that's for sure. So Zach Guthrie, only the 1 goal all season, 15 in his career. He tried to arc around and ran right, kicked left, missed, and a minor score margin. 72 points the way of the Cats. Half an hour gone in this one. How would you sum it up, Lingy, for, I guess, both Geelong and for Richmond?
Just a supremely dominant performance by the Cats. Oh, Noah Poulter with the attempted hanger. Got nowhere near it. Gives away the free kick to Jack Henry. But just a complete performance. They weathered the early storm from Richmond pretty comfortably and then got the game completely on their terms. Their efficiency, their organisation, their structure, their quality was all far, far ahead of Richmond. And unfortunately for the Tigers, once it got to a point of feeling pretty helpless about the way they were playing and the weight of numbers, it looked pretty easy there after a while. Little positives, obviously, is Morris Rioli for the Tigers. Ryan Mansell as well with his 3 goals, but he's struggling to find too many other positives for Richmond.
Thrown back into play. Blitzars nudged his opponent underneath the footy and gave away the free kick. And Curvis, who has tried and worked his backside off all evening.
Sorry, I should have said him as well. He has never stopped trying all game.
Off to Broad. Now Prestio pulls the trigger, good kick into the middle. Siren unfortunately beats Trainer. It's been a dirty night for the Tigers. Geelong tick the box, 72-point winners. Get the feeling bigger things are lying ahead for the Cats this year.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark, down at Gardenia Park.
So Geelong 18-16, 124, defeating Richmond 7-10-52. Goal kickers for the Cats, 4 to Cameron, including his 700th of his career. 3-0, 2 each to Bowes, Close and Dangerfield, and singles to Henry, Manor, Stevens, Holmes and Martin. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, was 3 to Mansell, singles to Fall, Brown, Nankervis and Rioli.
Remember our tradition, stand up and fight. It's always our ambition throughout the game to fight with all our might, because we're the mighty blue and white. And when the ball is bounced to the final bell, stand up and fight like hell.
72-point win to the Cats. You like the second verse they've added back into the song?
I've known that since I was as long as I could remember, so I love it. Other people hearing it for the first time might think, what the hell is that?
Bit jarring. Bit jarring, if I'm being honest.
It's
you don't, not even the end, the stand up and fight like hell, that wouldn't get you...
I'm probably a bit guided by the fact that I'm back in Geelong and listening to that song, rocking myself back and forth. I can see Lingy there. I saw Andrew Mackey before. It's taking me back to some unpleasant places.
Well, you know where to go. We got told earlier, Ripper Roast is the cure to all your ills.
Sounds like Ripper Roast can fix all.
down here in this part of the world. So Geelong get it done by 72 points. And importantly, Lingy vault themselves up to second on the table with a very, very healthy percentage.
Yeah, obviously with a couple of games still to play that could change that around. But the percentage boost is important. You'd imagine Collingwood from here, percentage is not an issue, given their buffer and they're likely to finish on top. But that second spot, it could come down to percentage and that home qualifying final. And given that one of those teams is the Brisbane Lions, another one's probably the Adelaide Crows, that becomes crucial to make sure if you do get a team where you've got them on the ropes, you actually finish it off and get that percentage boost. So right under the Cats, I think in my quick little wrap there, I gave a few pump-ups to some Richmond players. I want to give an extra one, and I did it throughout the game, to Zach Guthrie. I thought he was just dominant from start to finish for the Cats. He's a superb player. And Graham Myers, I thought, was excellent for Geelong. And obviously the goal kickers, a few got to fill their boots a little bit. But those two players in particular, almost still even a little bit underrated across the competition. When the game was there, they were the dominant players on the field. Max Holmes ends up with the most possessions with 36, but I thought it was just an okay game from him.
There was a lot of numbers and a lot of scrappy numbers out there, and I think Max Holmes probably the lightning rod for a lot of that. I think the two that you mentioned, Guthrie and Myers, there almost wasn't a false note between them. There was a level of class, composure and efficiency to the way they played. Jeremy Cameron ends up with 4 goals, 5. I mean, it could have been... I mean, if there was accuracy, I don't know what you guys are like as mathematicians. It could have been 9 straight.
Yes,
because he had 9 shots. Do you see where I'm going?
I think that's possible.
I think it checks out. I don't need the abacus. I believe that to be accurate.
He came into the game second in the competition for shots at goal a game, behind only Jack Gunston, who is peppering them away at an advanced stage. So. What a story that is. Lee, we better let you go and grab your kids, I reckon.
I better go. I've had a great night with you all. Thank you very much. Enjoy the... what have we got coming up next? What games after this one? We go to...
So Brisbane, Port Adelaide for our South Australian audience, and then St Kilda Hawthorn for everyone else.
Well, enjoy the footy. Thanks for having me tonight.
Good on you, Lingy. Cameron Ling, the Premiership captain here at Geelong, joining us as part of our ABC Sport crew. Always great to enjoy an evening at the footy with Lingy. The Cats end up winners by 72. We'll head into their rooms with Lex very shortly. Indeed, it's Geelong's biggest win over Richmond since 2010, so 15 years. The Matildas beaten 1-0 by Panama in Bunbury today as well.
Not ideal.
No, I don't know how good... I know they're good at building canals. I don't know how good they are at football in Panama, but... that's not a bit of a setback for the Matildas potentially. And 0437 774 774 if you want to fire a question at Bob throughout the post game. We'd love to hear from you on the post game. 0437 774 774. The Tigers, it was always going to be a challenge for them. There's some mixed feedback on the text line. Some supporters saying, I love the way they go about it, the spirit, no worries at all. Others saying, and maybe who aren't Richmond supporters, and one who even threw up promotion and relegation on the text line tonight. So mixed opinion as far as Richmond are concerned. How did you see their effort tonight?
No, I was happy with their effort. I thought they tried hard. I think there was probably a couple of minutes where you could see that their heads dropped and Geelong just did it too easily. But although Geelong were in cruise mode for much of the second half, I was really impressed by the Tigers. I loved that they continued to take the game on. They wanted to run and carry the ball and use the whole ground, and that takes a level of bravery down here, and I take my hat off to them for that. They're clearly undermanned. They're missing a couple that they'd like in there, and they're coming up against a really experienced side. But I actually think the scoreboard was a little bit flattering towards the Cats. I don't think the Tigers were quite that bad, and I think if they hadn't have lost their way in that second quarter, where they really had to do a lot of heavy lifting, they were clearly fatigued after that, and the Cats are who they are, so they steamrolled from there. But I thought the Tigers played with enough heart and belief that I'm encouraged about the direction that they're heading.
And you called it out too. There was that moment where it all opened up for Graham Myers, and there was that 2 minutes there, but then to have the mental fortitude as youngsters to not drop off for a long period was credit to them.
I think the word that I would use to sum sum up the whole game tonight would be maturity. And I think that the Cats coming off the bye, the stage of the season and the stage of development their list is at, it was a really mature performance. For the Tigers, I think that their review of the game should be mature, because there are a lot of instances where it wasn't effort that let them down. It was maybe a bit of composure, it was a bit of inexperience, some basic errors that really cost them. But I think a level of maturity to break it into each compartment, to think, you know what, in future seasons, if we tidy up these areas, that'll keep our progress tracking the way we want it to. The one area of concern for me would be they just couldn't contain Geelong's uncontested marks, and you end up with 103. That's a work rate thing, it's a setup thing, so they're inexperienced. So that would be something I think in future weeks for them to focus on.
George Stevens leads the Cats into the race. We'll head into their rooms very shortly. Cole from Corryong suggesting that Checkside is actually a billiards term, which is where that originated from. So it's got to do with the spin that you put on the ball. Phil from Werribee saying the helicopter kicks, also another way to describe those. So plenty of discussion on the text line, 0437 774 774 to fire a question the way of Bob Murphy in the aftermath here. Geelong winners 18-16, 124 to Richmond 7-10-52. So a 72-point win for the Cats that sees them vault up into second spot, at least for now, with a very healthy percentage of 133. They came into the game with a percentage of 127. They're about to circle up. Lex Pesce's down in the rooms. Lex, is George Stevens still got that beaming smile on his face as he leads them in?
I've never seen a bigger smile from anyone ever, and he's got a big fan club here as well. Lawson Humphreys has the GoPro, so he's documenting the whole thing. They might make a George Stevens film after this, and I imagine he's about to head into the middle, as they always do, for the Gatorade shower. So I'll stand back for this one, but what a very exciting and great debut for the young man.
Absolutely. The real question is, Lex, have they got the dimmies out in the rooms?
No, they don't. I don't think so.
That's a setback. That is a setback.
I think they're going to throw chocolate milk on him this time. Here we go.
The grandest team of all. Hey, we are strong. We're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. Hey, at home or far away. Our banners flying high from dawn to dark. Down at Cavinia Park. Woo!
The obligatory stand in the middle of the song for George Stevens, and he looked hideously uncomfortable with that the entire time.
Yes, he did look very uncomfortable. I think, if I was a player, I don't really know what to look like. What do you do when when someone sings you happy birthday, you don't know what to do with your hands? I feel like it'd be the exact same. Bob, what do you reckon?
Yeah, no, it's awkwardness sort of cranked up to 10, those moments. It's sort of good in theory. Oh, let's make the debutante feel special.
I don't
do
think
that.
yeah.
There's good special and then there's awkward special.
I think that's awkward special.
He just wants to be part of the circle.
Exactly,
sing the
part
song
of the team.
with his mates.
We're going to chat to Zach Guthrie very soon, but they're all heading inside for a quick meeting, and we'll be back after that.
No Gatorade shower either.
No, it's very demure in the Cats' rooms.
They're very progressive. It's a smart move by the Cats.
Yep, and I'm sure Chris Scott will have the red airing out the back for a little bit later on in the evening.
It's one of those pointless exercises and rituals.
Yes.
Gatorade shower.
I did have a friend whose kids are footy obsessed.
Right.
Happy birthday. All the kids were gathered round in a circle, poured the Gatorade over his little cousin.
See, football has a responsibility to show the way, because this is the ripple effect down to the community. Ridiculous.
Yes, it certainly does. 72-point win to Geelong, so 124 to 52. Just repeating, Brisbane, Port Adelaide to come, St Kilda and Hawthorn. No late changes there for those two games, so you'll get those on the ABC Listen app, or if you're in South Australia, you'll get Brisbane, Port Adelaide. If you're in Victoria, Tasmania, WA, the NT on local radio, you will get St Kilda and Hawthorn. Of course, Wimbledon after the footy tonight on the ABC Listen app too. The cricket as well. So plenty of sport still to come your way, Maisie.
I was on Tackle Watch a little bit tonight, because we all know that 14 tackles in the first quarter today for Matt Rowell, which was just ridiculous.
14?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, first half? No, it might have been first half.
It was the first half.
5 possessions,
ended with 17.
14 tackles. He only had 3 in the second half, so he really went off the boil. And so he's finished with 17. He was on track to break every record, because I think Rory Laird has the record with 20.
Yep.
So he was short price to beat that at half-time. And unfortunately, he's fallen short. But Tom Atkins, who we know is an absolute tackling machine himself, has also finished with 17 tackles, the same as Matt Rowell today. So he didn't want to be outdone, the tackling machine from Geelong, and he's equalled the Gold Coast star.
For some of us, that's a season's worth. You know?
Yes,
Although I would point out, and I don't want to start a war here, but there are a lot of players that get these tackles. I call them fall on top of.
Yes.
Because out on the wings and the flanks, it's like a cheetah trying to catch a deer. They're different. That's a tackle. These fall on top ofs, they're not the same thing.
Yep.
Just being told your career high tackles was 7.
There we go.
That's up there.
Some of those were they're in the warm-up.
On the tackling bag.
Yeah.
Plenty of love for our Cameron Ling, Bob Murphy combination on the text line. We talked about the players who were the loudest callers. Marcus in South Melbourne says, do the backmen chat with the forwards during the matches when the ball's always at the other end? And who were the chattiest forwards?
Oh, chattiest forwards.
It's a nice question, Marcus.
Well, we're in Geelong. Stevie J wasn't so much talking with me as talking at me and giving me the full Stevie J extravaganza. He was commentating. He was telling me what he was going to do. He was telling me about what he'd just done. It was thoroughly entertaining.
Bob, real quick.
Yes, Lex.
I've got a question for you.
Go for it.
You know when the players are shouting from the boundary when you're about to go through the interchange, can you actually hear that, or do you just look at the numbers?
It's, you can. I'm trying to think. It's been a while now. You can hear a little bit.
Or maybe I can ask someone down here. I'll be back. I'm just going to grab Zach.
Sounds good. John in Ravenswood, Tasmania, asking if you'll ever coach the Doggies.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's one out of left field.
I think it would be fair to say that Luke Beveridge is safe. No, I don't think coaching is...
I have a slightly more topical question, and I was going to ask Liming as well. Our own Boomer Harvey made a comeback to footy last week for the Trentham Saints in the Maryborough Castlemaine.
What's he doing? What's wrong with him? Who hurt you, Brent?
47. Would you make a comeback to footy?
No way.
He was looking far too fit too. Boomer.
Yes.
Goodness me.
Yeah, he was. He played a good game. Unfortunately, he didn't play today, and they had a 36-all draw with one of the better sides in that competition, Boomer's team. But he'll be back.
I'm worried about him
throughout
Brent,
the course
what are you doing?
of the year. Let's get down into the Geelong rooms. Lex.
Bob, I think you're getting a bit silly, all right? So we'll move this over. Zach Guthrie is kind enough to give me some time. Zach, well done on the win. A very convincing win. But just quickly before we move on to the game, you guys just had a quick little meeting to discuss Chris Scott's 350th match. Can you just describe him as a coach in your time at the club?
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible achievement, really. Like 350 games, you have to be around for a long time and have some success, and you must be doing something right to hang around that long. So, in my time, he's just been someone I feel like he's always had the support of his players and staff and everyone involved in the program, which is amazing to have, because then you just sort of have that confidence to go out and play and execute your role, whether it's sort of going bad for you as a team, or going well. I think his ability to be level-headed, whether we win or lose, is something that is a real strength of his, and one that's brought out the best over many years.
For those of us who don't know him, he always seems really cool, calm and collected. He always keeps his cool. What's something that we might not know about him?
He's a very good golfer. I've never played with him, but he's pretty handy out in the golf course. So it probably goes into that cool, calm, collected demeanour.
Now, onto the game. As I said, a very convincing win. You guys now move into second on the live ladder. How does it feel this time of the season? Where do you guys see where you're at?
Yeah, we're in a great spot, sort of position-wise on the ladder. So we're really looking forward to honing in sort of this back, 8 games, 7 after this week, to really try and get our game going for what will hopefully be an exciting sort of back half of the year. We love being involved in this back half of the year to try and get our game as good a shape as possible to hopefully hit September in a good manner where we can come out and play the right way. So the bye was good to sort of just refresh. It was a disappointing week last week against Brisbane, but to bounce back tonight was nice, so we'll just keep looking to build.
I think we all know what kind of character Jeremy Cameron is, but for him to reach 700 goals, is that exciting for you guys, and did you talk about it in the lead up to tonight's game?
No, I just saw it on the scoreboard. I didn't actually know. I know he's kicked a lot of goals. 700's incredible. If I do the maths correctly, it's over 2 a game. So, that's just someone who's just able to impact the game week in and week out, and he's a pretty special talent. So to take the field with him every week is nice, and it really helps our style that we can take it forward, and we've got guys like him producing some magic every week, so nice to have as a teammate.
That's the quickest maths I've ever seen someone do. Guys upstairs, Zach Guthrie's all yours.
Hey Zach, it's an incredibly mature performance by you and your teammates tonight, so congratulations on that. You mentioned the bye. A lot of teams have a difficult time sort of finding that intensity off the week off, but you guys were able to hit the ground running tonight. Were you pleased with that?
Yeah, it's always a tough balance. You sort of want to go away and refresh because it is a long season, so you want to get that time away mentally and physically to try and get yourself in as best shape for this back half of the year, but at the same time it's a good opportunity to kind of come back and get some extra work in to ensure that we're all feeling really good to come out and execute like we did tonight. So I feel like we had a really good balance, and hopefully sort of that week off, I find that week off's really important to freshening up to, I guess hit this back half of the year well.
So in terms of where your footy team is at as you make, your preparations for a big finals campaign, spots in the team become a premium. One of your teammates, Jack Martin, who is trying himself in a new position, had a reasonable night tonight. How have you seen his presence in the team, and do you feel like he's starting to cement that spot on the halfback flank?
Yeah, he's got a really well-rounded skill set, which sort of does allow him to play multiple positions. He's a really smooth mover, and as you see, sort of in this time where he has come in and slotted into our side, he uses the ball really well, and his context work's really good as well. So he's certainly added something out on the field, but he's a great character to have around as well. He's one that goes about his business really well. He's been really keen to get on top of his body, and the way he's applied himself to that since he's got to the Cubs been great. So to see him out there doing what he's doing, I love seeing it, and he's great to have as a teammate. So he's certainly adding something to us both on and off the field, which is great.
Zach Guthrie from the Cats with us after a 72-point win. Zach, you mentioned your week off. What did you do with it? How did you spend it?
No, I was pretty quiet this year. I just hung around and didn't do a whole lot, which was good. I've done a few golf trips in the past few years down to Tassie and stuff, so I was keen to stay in the warmth a bit more, even though it wasn't warm down here. But it was nice to just sort of refresh and try and feel really good to attack this back half of the year, which will be an exciting time.
There's been a little bit of, I guess, change in the defensive stocks this year with Sam de Koning going out through injury, and Connor O'Sullivan's really stepped up. He's only missed the one game all season. He's a big, physical, toolsy kind of character. What's he like to play in that defensive half with?
Yeah, he's been great. He's a high talent, which we've seen in his second year. He's come along a long way. He's always been sort of an amazing athlete since he arrived at the club, but his ability this year to apply himself to all the footy stuff and his contest work's been awesome, and he's one that's really eager to learn, a really confident character, so he's been able to come in and really help the system and fit into that. So he's a really good kid, and someone that's always eager to learn and keep growing. So he's going to be a really good player for us for many years to come, so it's nice to have.
Now, Zach, you'll have to settle a debate for us that we were having earlier. Now, I look out at Cardinia Park and there's no Mitch Duncan doing any run-throughs after being an unused sub this evening. Would you, or first of all, I'll ask, what does he have to do? Will he have to do some extra running this week at training, or does he volunteer to play a half in the VFL just to get out of running tonight? What happens there, and what would you choose if you were in his position?
Don't know. I've been in the same situation a few times as the sub, where you sort of only get on and play the back half of the last quarter or whatever. It's an interesting one. It's probably preference for him. A week off it is sometimes good, but at the same time, some guys like to get a game under their belt. So it probably depends on the lead up. But I'm not sure what he'll do. If he does choose not to play, there's probably a little bit of running early in the week, but I know many guys love just playing instead of doing the running.
You might be able to settle another debate for us as well, Zach. We were talking about Brian Myers earlier in the game, and that he looks like a loud caller, like he'd be out there shrieking and hollering for the ball to come his way. Can you confirm or deny whether Brian is a loud caller for the footy when he's in your area?
He always does a little clap to get the ball, which seems to get guys' attention. I'd say that's more of his trademark. But, he's one of those guys that, he sort of covers the ground really well and gets in great spots. So, we like giving it to him every chance we can because he creates so much for us going forward.
And what did you make of George Stevens on debut tonight?
Just before I let Zach answer that, I've just seen Mitch Duncan leave with a backpack on, so you can rule out running for now. I'm giving you back to Zach.
Zach, George Stevens' performance on debut tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was amazing. He looks really strong for someone who's so young. He's it wasn't a surprise at all. He's been ready for this opportunity for a long time now. To be honest, even when he sort of first came in, those first few weeks after he got drafted, he looked like an impressive talent and one that was sort of ready to go and mature beyond his age. So we saw he's also a nice kick in front of goal. He flushed that one as well. So he's going to be another one that's going to be a really important player for us in the future. And I was rapt to see him get his opportunity. And he sort of took it with both hands. So I'm rapt for him.
As we think you will be as well, Zach. Very well played by you and the team tonight. And thanks for spending a bit of time with us on ABC Sport.
No worries at all. Thank you.
Zach Guthrie there with us after the Cats' 72-point win. A pretty business-like customer is Zach. Pretty no airs and graces about either the way he goes about his footy or his business generally.
Sounds like he likes his golf and he likes playing footy for the Cats because he was pretty spectacular tonight.
Did you think? I know Lingy was talking about it in the call. Did you think he'd get this good? I mean, he's such a he
was on the fringe for years.
Yeah, and I think he's still underrated, really. Within footy, obviously, everyone knows how well he plays. But, I mean, if we had...
kind of unassuming, isn't he?
Yes,
even chatting to him, then you can kind of see why, he seems like he's happy just to sort of slip under the radar.
Yeah.
Next to those, high-profile, famous teammates of his in a side that just keeps winning. But to answer your initial question, no, I probably didn't think he would reach this level of play. You can see why they had so much faith in him, and he's just in that sweet spot of his career. And with those high-profile teammates around him, he does kind of just slip through, and he made the Tigers hurt tonight.
And another out of the rookie draft. So Henry, they've had so much success through that pathway, and what a family, of course. Cam, premiership player and an All-Australian, and Zach, the younger brother, and that sort of Sunbury enclave's been pretty successful for them. Of course, Mark Blitzar's out of Sunbury, and then the two Guthrie boys as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about the individuals, and they've got their stories that are powerful in their own right, but just the psychology of a player starting his career on the rookie list, it does make you wonder about what that does and how it hardens their resolve right from the very start. Nothing's sort of given to them on a platter. So, Geelong have been the beneficiary of it, as a lot of other clubs have, but the Cats rookie list players have shone pretty bright.
0437 774 774 with you for about another 5 minutes before we send you to St Kilda and Hawthorn or Port Adelaide and Brisbane. No late changes in either of those two games. So if you're listening on local radio in South Australia, you'll get the Lions and the Power. If you're listening on local radio elsewhere, you'll get St Kilda and Hawthorn. And, of course, you can get it all via the ABC Listen app. Dom, who's sending the question about chatty forwards, reckons Richo was a mighty chatty forward back in the day too.
Yeah, well, probably depending on how he was going. But, the one that it stands out, because I've only met him a couple of times off the field. Buddy Franklin, very sort of quiet, demure guy. On the field, I don't know what it was about me, but he kept talking at me, asking me questions, sort of goading me. I felt good. I felt special. So I thought, it's Buddy. And he became larger than life. Like off the field, it's like he's Lance. And on the field, I mean, what is he, 6'6"? But he looked like he would inflate to 7 feet tall, and he'd start kicking his toes out as he walked. He had the peacock thing going on. I didn't even know what he was really saying to me. I was just happy that he kind of knew I was out there. I felt good about it. What a player.
What a presence he was. What a presence he was. You got the votes, the ABC Footballer of the Year?
I do have the votes, and I think it is worth mentioning a couple of the Tigers. I thought Maurice Rioli was really good. I thought Toby Nankervis fought really well against the double ruck combination for the Cats, but it was all about the Cats tonight, so there were plenty of options to pick from. Max Holmes will be really disappointed with Lingy and I for leaving him out of the votes, because he did have 36 disposals, but they his kicking efficiency was 39%, and stats sometimes don't tell the whole story, but he was just a little bit more untidy, I think, than a few of his other teammates. I gave 1 vote to Jeremy Cameron, 4 goals, 5. It was one of those nights where he polls 1 vote, kicks 4. It could have easily been a 3-vote, 8-goal performance from Jeremy Cameron. He gave a couple off as well, but he looked like he was really enjoying himself. Kicked his 700th goal, so he snuck in for 1 vote. Brian Myers, 2 votes. He's been a better player since he cut off his dreadlocks, which is a message for all white fellas out there. If you've got dreadlocks, get rid of them and good things will go your way. But he really was. I mean, he's such a damaging player. I didn't know anyone could call and clap for the footy at the same time. That could be something of a real fashion statement, not the dreadlocks. But our man, Zach Guthrie, he was the 3 votes tonight. I thought he was a class above the rest. 25 disposals, kicked it at 90%, which is... I mean, that does tell quite a story. He was unassuming in some ways, but he caught our eye right from the very start, and there was not a false note in there. So Zach Guthrie with the 3, Myers with the 2, Jeremy Cameron with the 1.
Zach Guthrie, 6 intercepts, 9 score involvements to go with his 25 disposals, and Myers 29, 5 clearances and 12 score involvements. And Lingy made mention of it earlier. So George Stevens on debut, 21 disposals, and he had the 14 score involvements.
Could have almost snuck in for 1 himself, which is an incredible effort when you think about that, your first game of league footy.
Yeah, great story out of South Warrnambool, and they've produced some very, very good footballers out of that part of the world in recent years. One of them will be in action very soon, Hugh McCluggage, who is going to be in action for the Brisbane Lions as they take on Port Adelaide. That is one of our late fixtures tonight. Of course, earlier today, Essendon and the Gold Coast. That was a big win the way of the Suns. Tomorrow, still more footy to come your way. Sydney and Freo is going to be an intriguing clash at the SCG, partly because of the contest, partly because of the state of the turf. Yes. And whether that holds up and put the long stops in, and then the Adelaide Crows and Melbourne to round us out. So you'll get all of that footy on the ABC Listen app across the course of your weekend. What are you watching tonight, Maisie? That's the real question.
There's a fair chance I could have 5 screens going at once, I reckon. There's a lot of sport on.
We call that the Star Trek setup, where you just got screens going here, there and everywhere. Just get the Tour de France on just for a little bit of sort of medicinal, just... Yeah, you can watch the race if you like.
Shot of the horizon.
Just the horizon and
learn about a chateau somewhere.
Yeah, just as a bit of a palate cleanser.
I did go to the Tour de France final day a number of years ago, and that day in Paris is magic.
Can't have a bad day in Paris.
No, I would highly recommend if anyone wants to go, whether you're going with family, friends, whatever, you can get over there. That is a good bucket list to tick.
Why not? Good to see you, Maisie.
You too.
You too, Bob.
Likewise, gents. Thanks
for everything. Thanks to Lex. Thanks to Lee. Thanks to Mitch back in the studio as well, and to Lingy. Big night of footy ahead, so do not go anywhere. Don't leave your radio or your phone far behind. On the ABC Listen app, you'll get it all. Brisbane and Port Adelaide from the Gabba. St Kilda and Hawthorn at Docklands. No late changes in either of those games. Our teams are set and ready to bring it all to you. Here at Kinnear Park, a big win to the Cats, but plenty more footy to come. Enjoy your Saturday night.
The ABC Listen app has it all. The British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia, Wimbledon, and West Indies versus Australia. Oh, and did I mention we're doing the footy every weekend? ABC Sport on the ABC Listen app.